some summertime, it's nice, hey, yeah. It's the IDP show, now you know.
Welcome to the IDP show. I'm your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the Sode Shack tonight. On my right, Adam Markham. On my left, Bobby Reynolds. Gentlemen, how are we this evening?
Doing well, Josh.
That has been lingering for a few weeks now, Bobo.
Yeah, I knew it was going to get rowdy pretty quick.
Yes, he had that one in the chamber as soon as you walked in the door.
Yeah, had to let it loose. Feel much better.
Feel much better?
Feel
like
very
a good
now.
burp, you just got it up and
yeah,
you're feeling
needed
good?
to get it out of me.
It's been a little bit, boys.
Been there festering, yeah.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a hiatus.
Yeah, it's been we've all done some traveling.
We've had some travels. I've had a baby, so
That's
congrats
also
to me. I guess. Yep, dad for the second time. So baby McLean was born on the 15th. Mommy and baby are doing very well, so all is well in the Raymer household. But yeah, that was, if you're wondering why Jake and Evan covered for us with top 24 DBs, it's because I was bringing a sweet baby girl into the world. So
We just met her.
Yes.
She's precious.
She is very sweet. She's sleeping good. She's eating good. That's all Daddy asked for.
Yes, sir.
Sleep good and eat good. We'll be in good shape.
And you're doing good. I mean, you guys have really probably done much better with this second one, I'd say.
Yeah.
Much more relaxed. and-
Second one is easier. I think, at least so far, you know, if you've got a healthy, happy baby, you don't worry about as much. Every, time they make a noise, you're not jumping up to check and make sure they're okay. You're not like, oh my God, are they breathing? I think you realize when you have a first kid, like babies are pretty much like little bouncy balls. They're kind of
Yeah,
like
they're
indestructible,
Yeah, I mean, in the hospital, the doctors are pretty rough
Yes.
with us. They're just kind of throwing them back and forth.
Yeah, they're giving them a bath. Let's just like turning them over, just scrubbing them. Like, just take it
Immediately.
easy. Yeah, like she's like 24 hours old.
That's right. Yeah, them babies, boy, they can handle some.
Some punishment. They absolutely can. They're tougher than me. I know that.
they really
So
are.
it's been good though. It's been fun. Was off last week for paternity leave. Back at it this week, and back at it with the podcast. Boys, training camp is here. Football season is right around the corner. The preseason will be starting up here very soon. Bobo, you have a new Isaiah Simmons jersey. Let me give you the camera so folks can see the drip, the swag. Yes, look at that jersey. That will, in about 4 months, be outdated
Hey, that's enough of that.
once Isaiah
that's
Simmons
enough
is
of that.
on a new team.
You're probably right. It's 1 year rental.
But for right now, I love the black. The black
Yeah.
Cardinals jersey is, I think, their best fit.
I've been looking for the black single digit for a while. The
Yes.
48 last year, 2 years ago, was okay. But the 9, especially for him being a full-time DB now, makes a little more sense.
Yeah, it's a vastly superior number for Simmons.
I'm going to have to come for Deion Henley soon. I saw that 0 the other day. That's
That zero and
pretty
that
tight.
powder
it's
blue.
getting to me.
It's pretty tight.
It's
Good
getting to me.
Lord, that is juicy.
Man, I can't wait to watch him on the field with Derwin. That's going to be fun. But, yeah, New Jersey, good to see you boys. It's been a while.
Yes.
Kentucky's freaking beautiful right now.
It's great.
Just on the drive over, wind is down,
Gorgeous sunset.
I don't think there's any better odor in the world than when you drive through a freshly cut hayfield and it's got that kind of sweet, grassy aroma.
Yes, sir.
You don't know unless you've been through Kentucky what that smells like. Man.
Amen.
Amen, brother. We took McLean out for her first family date night. We went and got ice cream. Have y'all tried Meltdown down on the square?
No.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic ice cream.
Custard,
top tier.
What are we talking here? Like scoop
They
ice cream?
They have a lot. They have the ice cream sandwiches now. They have floats. They have banana splits. So they
Is
have
it-
all different types of homemade ice cream.
Is it kind of supposed to be like an old school
soda fountain?
Soda fountain.
Yes,
I
type
gotcha.
of setup.
I love that.
But
Bowling
it
Green
was
talk.
it was a concert in the park night. It was 78 degrees.
This is a good time of
Beautiful
year.
sunset.
Good time of year to have a kid too, because you can get outside
Yes.
with them, go for walks. The days are a little bit longer, so the long short nights don't feel as terrible when 6 o'clock rolls around in the morning. Love children.
Yes, this is the
They're
dad
fun.
podcast.
Very blessed. Very blessed.
3 washed up 35-year-olds.
Wow, I have an 11-year-old.
Wow, look at you. I have a 3.5-year-old and a 1-week-old.
I'm 11 and 5. What are you, Eddie?
6.5, and then we have a year-old.
Wow.
Look at us.
Maybe I need to run it back.
Yeah.
Heavens no.
Heavens no.
Yeah, we're done.
I'm getting snipped after this. I'm just trying to find a good doctor right now.
I can do it for you.
Yeah, please.
Big thing happened to me though over our little break. I went to Buc-ee's.
Oh, yes. Okay. This is more important than the birth talk. Let's get
this
into
is
Buc-ee's.
number one topic, I'd say.
Which one did you go to?
It was Athens, I believe.
Okay,
Yes,
south.
It's on your way south. Yep. I've been to that one.
Amazing
Oh, yeah.
establishment. I mean, this is like a place that's like up there. As far as like management wise, it's like with the Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
Like everyone in that place knows what they're doing, is very qualified. It's just an amazing experience. All the food was excellent.
Yep.
I went for breakfast both times.
Breakfast, I think, is their top tier
And that was
food selection.
So we went on the way to Florida, and then I was thinking about it the entire week.
Of course you were.
And I had to have it on the way back. But
Had
boy,
to.
those breakfast burritos. Oh my God. I'm such a
Incredible.
believer. And then you got like the Buc-ee nuggets and then just all these just Buc-ee things
Yes.
that are all
Buc-ee
amazing.
things.
Yes, all Buc-ee branded food.
Yeah.
Buc-ee
Have
bites,
you been to one?
nuggets.
I haven't.
Oh my God. We're getting one in Smiths Grove, which is like
I've been
15 minutes up the road.
Yeah.
I've been kind of like against it just because I'm always kind of against the whole like monopoly thing.
Yeah.
I think about all the small like mom and pop stores in Smiths Grove that are just going to be like,
Yeah, they're going to be devastated.
well,
Yeah,
never
they're
mind.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're, well, here's the thing, too.
Did you get gas?
Oh, yeah.
Was the car faster?
Yeah, everything was, we got like, it was like, I think 1,000 miles to the gallon.
He was able to drive to California
It was,
on a single tank.
it was very cool.
Oh man.
Did you say 1,000 miles to the gallon?
Yeah, it was crazy, dude.
Holy cow.
It was
You went
crazy.
California and back a couple
we
times.
really do need a buggy.
Yeah, we do. But yes, their breakfast items are incredible. The great story, Allie's friend Rachel lives in Texas. That's where Buc-ee's originated. It's a
Yeah.
Texas establishment. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Sure.
And she said she went into the bathroom one time and someone was on their hands and knees with a toothbrush scrubbing the grout in the tile in the bathroom.
Yeah, I went to the bathrooms.
Sparkling
Those were
clean.
amazing. There was an attendant in there, but like everything was, just touch free or whatever. It was awesome.
It was amazing.
Everything was great.
I said it's probably one
a
of the
believer.
best elevator pitches ever. What if the gas station was the destination? That is the pitch for Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
And if you get a chance to go, folks, you got to check it out.
They
Just
were
try it.
slammed.
Yes.
They were
it was.
slammed.
It was like Black Friday shopping
Yeah.
at the mall.
Both times I went through.
Yes.
It was like that.
It's crazy.
But,
Wow.
You'll be a believer, Bob.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you'll get
we'll-
over
we'll
that
convert
worrying
you.
about the mom and pops
I
as
don't
soon as
know.
you walk
When
in
you
that
see
door.
the mom and pops in there getting Buc-ee
Yes,
nuggets,
sir. Hey, you get your Buc-ee nugget, boy.
you'll be totally fine.
Did they close? Or is it just 24/7?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. They probably don't close.
They probably don't.
Let's be honest.
The chopped brisket taco for breakfast was amazing.
Incredible.
Wow.
The breakfast burrito that was like the green chili, beans, and bacon and eggs was, oh my God. That was what I thought about all week.
All week.
Josh had a baby, Adam went to Buc-ee's, and I bought a tractor.
There you
so-
go. That perfectly fits the brand. If y'all are
Uh-huh.
wondering what we've been up to,
Uh-huh.
that was it.
Had some burrito babies.
There we go. We also have been up to IDP Madness, boys. It is Adam's brainchild. It is 12 leagues, 12 teams in each league, 144 participants battling it out for $500 cash prize and also bragging rights. I think the bragging rights may even be
Yeah, the
you
clout,
know,
the bragging rights, that's all that
because
really matters.
a lot of people have leagues that probably pay out north of $500 in winnings. But to say that you were better than 143 other IDP degenerates, that's some next level clout
and it's
right
a great
there.
group. I mean, we've got,
Super sharp group.
30 to 40 people that, are working in this industry.
Yeah, content creators,
yeah.
podcasters, article writers, rankers.
And then, our listeners and subscribers, like they're good at this. They
Yes,
know what they're doing.
They are locked in. They've had the practice all summer.
I think about our homie Eric Harms.
Oh, yeah.
This dude
God.
is a baller now.
We got it.
I don't know that I have it. I'll look for it while you guys talk about him some more. But Eric's been crushing it. We
Yeah.
actually
Been
ended up
crushing
with
it.
a few similar players on our rosters.
Yeah. And that's what happens when you get involved and you kind of get in our little space, man. We're gonna teach you up and kind of teach you what to do with this stuff and how to get good at this.
Eric sent us his roster, and he was not saying this.
Hey guys, somebody call 911. I don't feel so good.
So he was calling 911, but it was for his league mates as he was bashing some headsets.
yeah.
So shout out Eric, and shout out everyone that has participated in IDP Madness thus far. I've had a ton of fun, Bobo.
Yeah.
Our draft has been rolling along. I think we just entered the 17th round. It's 24 rounds long. It's 4 DL, 4 LB, 4 DB, 2 flex, 10 bench. So 24 total spots, big 3 scoring. Because I think the team that will come away with the grand prize will be a team that goes against ADP a little bit, get some injury luck. I think that will be huge because we don't have a really, really deep bench, and then we'll hit on some late round guys that nobody saw coming.
100%.
So I've tried to do that a little bit, mixing sort of a safer veteran floor. I've gotten a lot of dual desi guys. That's been a big strategy of mine, is just load up on those dudes, because if you do lose your 3-down linebacker, then a Von Miller or a Khalil Mack can step in and help out your linebacker spot in addition to your DL spot.
Yeah.
So I think you have to swerve just a little bit because you're trying to beat 143 other teams, not just 11.
Yeah. Another thing I've noticed across all the leagues, everyone still loves linebackers.
They really do.
Like, it doesn't matter like what the scoring is. Like, people are still gonna, and linebackers are valued in this format. Don't think that they're not. But they're just probably not as valuable as they are in most of your like tackle heavy leagues, right? There's a lot of leagues out there where it's like 2 points for a solo tackle and 1 for an assist, and that's just that's a little too much for me. It's a little silly. Like, whenever your finishes have like,
20 straight
20
LBs.
linebackers, that's just kind of dumb.
That doesn't make sense.
So that's kind of what we tried to steer away from in Big Three scoring. But yeah, I mean, even with us, kind of valuing those edge rushers and defensive linemen more, people still want to load up and just hoard these linebackers.
And I will say that was a big takeaway. I've got an article dropping tomorrow morning, going through round by round my strategy and thought process in terms of how I built my IDP Madness squad. And that was one of the takeaways I had was I wish in a couple spots I had gone linebacker, like true off-ball linebacker, instead of the defensive line dual designation guys that I went after instead. I got a little too cute thinking I could get that value to come back around, and it just didn't, because people love linebackers.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword of like, I don't want to be too high on linebackers either, but you kind of have to read the room a little bit.
You still want to try and put together a good stable.
Yes, you need to. That was where I landed. Was I had Devondre Campbell as my LB1. I was going to try to get Bobby Wagner round 3. He went right before me. So I ended up going Jeffrey Simmons.
Let's go. Let's hear the whole squad.
Let's do the whole squad. I'll pull it up here. So I went with
a little bit of a who'd you get?
It is a little bit of a who'd you get. And like I said, article drops tomorrow, 8:45 a.m. Central. So make sure you're subscribed over at the IDPshow.com. It was a fun one to write. But yeah, let's walk through it here. So kick things off. I was at 106, which I hate because there's a top 5 DL in these leagues that we've seen, right? It's Micah Parsons, Max Crosby, TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett. In some order, that is the top 5 DL that go off the board. So I thought, please, please, please let one of these guys get to me at 106. Myles Garrett did. So we go Myles Garrett, 106.
Lo and behold.
There he is. And then second round, shout out Bobo, Aaron Donald at the 207. And then 306, Jeffrey Simmons. So that's where B-Wags went off the board right before I was able to take him. So
that's
went
beautiful.
B-Wags. Then talked to John Macri because I was debating Jonathan Allen or Javon Hargrave in the 4th round at 407. And he said, you should really think about Harold Landry, because if Landry is healthy, remember, he played almost 1,000 snaps and finished as DL9 in 2021. So I went with Landry there, doubled up on the Tennessee defensive line. And then Hargrave came back around, 5th round, 506. Javon Hargrave.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then went linebacker, LB1 for me, round 6, pick 7, Devondre Campbell. So he's probably my most rostered linebacker by far, him and like Rashan Evans, because I'm just waiting for that Rashan Evans to like, I don't know, the Browns or something. Then went dual desi, round 7, pick 6, Khalil Mack. Then this is where I wish I had swerved, because I went round 8, pick 7. I'm a big George Karlaftis fan for this year, so I went Karlaftis. Round 8, I had Troy Anderson, Azeez Al-Shaair, Demario Davis, Jamin Davis, Caden Ellis, and Denzel Perryman all lined up, basically in that descending order.
I love that group.
Yeah.
And ended up, I was like, I would really wanted to get Anderson or Al-Shaair, ended up getting Perryman. So Perryman's my LB2. That's where I wish I had a little bit stronger LB2.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because I know you're big on Perryman. I think John has him as LB15 on the season. So he's a big fan.
Does?
Yes.
Let's go.
I was picking Macri's brain just to get some other kind of thoughts and some rankings in there. But yeah, he's my LB2. Carl Granderson in the 10th round, pick 7. 11th round, Von Miller. 12th round, third linebacker, true off-ball linebacker, Nicholas Morrow. Round 13, Addy shout out, Jermaine Pratt.
Wow.
And then round 14, Samson Ebukam.
That's nice.
Colts shout out.
Yeah.
And then round 15 and 16, I doubled up on rookie LBs because I wanted a little bit higher upside than like these Jermaine Pratt, Nicholas Morrow, Denzel Perryman types. I feel great about Campbell. Campbell's an LB1. I feel really, really solid about that. So I went Dorian Williams at 1506 and Deion Henley at 1607.
Nice.
And now we're about to start the 17th, and I'm just going to go 8 straight defensive backs.
I think the Perryman is nice. Didn't they pay him a little bit of money? I mean, they kind of brought him in low key. So I think that D'Amico Ryans kind of thought, this is a guy that I can work with. I think Perryman. Macri has him LB 15. I trust Macri. That's fine.
Yeah, for me, the feeling was I think he's going to beat out Christian Harris and Christian Kirksey for that LB1 job, but it is a question mark.
Yeah.
So that is my trepidation. Yeah, it was 2 years, $6 million. So,
okay.
not a huge contract, but
it's not a scary room.
Yeah.
I love Perryman. I think he's my highest exposure.
Yeah.
For at linebacker.
Perryman's kind of like Okereke, to where it's like we think these are the 2 LB1s on that team. The question is who's going to play alongside of them.
Yeah.
Who's going to play behind Perryman, who's going to play behind Okereke.
it's sort of like a Nicholas Morrow in that these aren't the sexiest guys, but Morrow has a very clearly defined role for me. It's either as the Eagles LB2 if Nakobe Dean does what we think he can do, or it's the LB1 if Nakobe Dean is not ready. Nicholas Morrow slots in as a low-key LB1 just like he was for Chicago last year.
But I think that the way that your roster is set up right now, you have so many of these edge designations that from one week to the next, you're going to have so many guys that pop off that a lot of times down there in your flex, your 2 IDP flex are probably going to end up being edges.
Yeah, dual
and end
desi
up
guys.
having good sacks that week.
A lot of my LBs might be.
Which will then make up
defensive
for
linemen.
Maybe having a weak Perryman at 2.
Yeah, so Landry, Khalil Mack, Carl Granderson, weirdly, is dual desi, even though he shouldn't be. Von Miller,
and that is one concern.
And Samson Ebukam, 5 dual desi guys.
You do have to worry about some of those maybe falling off.
Yes.
I know that happened last year with Sleeper. They, some of those guys ended up losing their LB tag.
Yep.
So
I think Granderson's one that could lose it, but Mack,
Also,
Miller,
there was
Landry
another
have
one
all had it for a while.
Mac should stay.
I think
that
so.
way. There was another one last year that was really bad.
Well, they just gave a couple guys dual desi that you had requested.
Why doesn't Max Crosby have it if Chandler Jones has it?
Yeah, that's weird.
And Tyree Wilson.
Where
also has it.
are they pulling this information from?
Yeah.
Like, is it alignment data? That's what you would think they would go off of. But
So that is concerning. I do worry that some of those things could change. But whatever. If it doesn't,
wheels up, baby.
Yeah.
And I tried not to reach. I think that's the key is like don't reach a round or 2 or more early to get you a dual desi guy. I use it as a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Like looking at, Khalil Mack, for example, against a lot of other players in that similar tier. I went with Mack because he was dual designation.
Same.
And I think he'll keep it. So, Babo, hit us up with your squad, man.
Yeah, so I'm similar to you, Josh. I was at the 107, so I was even one more pick back. But obviously Parsons, Garrett, Crosby, Bosa, Watt all went straight 1 through 5. So then Foye goes to our boy, shout out Lauren at 106. I took Roquan at 107. I really like Roquan. I love the sack upside that Roquan is going to carry this year in Baltimore. At 107, I feel like that was fine. Coming back, I did something that you would be shameful of. I passed on AD and ended up taking Brian Burns. So with Aaron Donald on the board, I know that's kind of not my brand, but, kind of deviate a little bit, went Brian Burns. 3rd round, pick 7.
Wait, what pick was Brian Burns in that one you just took?
206.
206. I just took him at Brian Burns at like 202 in one of these BBs we're doing. So
people are sleeping.
If you can get
I like
Burns in the
this year.
second, I love that.
Bobby Wagner in the 3rd, Dre Greenlaw in the 4th, came back in the 5th and got Montez Sweat, then Josh Sweat in the 6th.
Sweaty bros.
Came back and got 3 linebackers in a row. Eric Kendricks in the 7th, Jerome Baker in the 8th, Shaq Thompson in the 9th.
That's nice.
Zach Allen in the 10th, Jonathan Grenard in the 11th, Leonard Floyd in the 12th, Oboe in the 13th, Preston Smith in the 14th. Jumped in and grabbed Jesse Bates in the 15th.
That's fine.
And then EJ Speed back in the 16th. So we're sitting here in the 17th round. I like the squad. Brian Burns, Montez Sweat, Josh Sweat, Zach Allen are my DLs, and then Roquan, Bobby Wagner, Dre Greenlaw, Eric Kendricks are my linebackers. So
That's nice.
it's a little different from the plan. It is probably a little more linebacker heavy than I'm kind of typically go to in some of these IDP drafts. But I don't know. I tried to think about what are you idiots going to do and kind of maybe do something a little bit different because I feel like there's going to be a bunch of guys with Uchenna. I love Uchenna, but there's just a bunch of these guys that I know Evan likes, I know Jake likes, I know Kyle B is going to have some of these guys. So I tried to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, right.
But
Like the Uchennas, the Jaelan
yeah,
Phillips,
yeah.
Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah.
We all love
Aaron
love
Donald.
these guys.
You have to chase sacks. That was kind of my overriding North Star for this draft was just chase sacks because this is a big play league, and I really do believe the team that wins it is going to have a bunch of sack artists.
Yep.
I would be shocked. I wrote this in the article. I would be shocked if the team that wins Madness has like a bunch of tackle machine 3-down linebackers.
Yeah.
Just the way our scoring is set up.
Yeah.
I think they'll have some, but I think it will be headlined by a bunch of guys who got double-digit sacks.
And I got to thinking, too, about that with my linebackers from, like, Roquan's perspective. I was thinking Foye, Roquan, obviously Foye went off the board, but I was like, Roquan had a couple sacks last year. I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities for Roquan to put up 4 to 5 sacks this year. And even listening to the last Big Nickel podcast with Tripp and Macri, they kind of got me back on the Jerome Baker bandwagon a little bit to where, that Vic Fangio defense might have Baker rushing the quarterback a little bit more. I think David Long is hurt right now. So, anyways, yeah, it's just so much fun. It's kind of awesome to see. Adam basically came to Josh one day and was like, hey, what if we do this? And, we both kind of were like, yeah, absolutely. Why would we not? And then the amount of time that it took to actually set it up and get it going
less than a month.
So quick. And the amount of people that signed up was like, it was not difficult to find 144 teams to jump in here.
And I picked kind of a bad time to do it because I had like a vacation that was going on. I had another trip I went on. So I was like it was tough. But
we got it filled.
Got it filled way faster than I thought we would. So
before you tell your squad, have you drafted a DB yet?
Not yet. And I was just getting ready to say, I did this strat. I really, really wanted to not take a DB. And I was like, am I going to blink and do it before round 17? And I didn't.
Do you all feel like that there's still a little bit like, do you feel like you can go too late on DB? No. Like you're going to say no.
I really don't.
But do you not think that like at one point, like right there, like 17th round, 16th round, do you not feel like some of these guys are like Drake Jackson, I don't know, trying to think of some of these real dart throws versus like Xavier McKinney.
Yes. Well, here's what I would say is we're getting ready to enter the 17th, and I just wanted to read off some of the names that are left here. Xavier McKinney, Derek Forrest, Jordan Fuller. I saw, let's see, Jordan, both of the Cincinnati safeties are there. Jordan Battle, Dax Hill, the Honey Badger.
Oh, beautiful.
You've got Sidney Brown, Von Bell, Nate Hobbs, Kenny Moore.
But that's a little too
Trent
late.
McDuffie.
So do you not think that maybe the round or two before that is where you need to jump in and grab one or two? I'm trying to play devil's advocate here because I felt like
no, I really don't.
I felt like a round or two before
those are great DBs.
I understand that, but I also feel like there was a little spot where I was like, am I just gonna grab EJ Speed or should I get a DB?
This is obviously every draft is different, but I'll just give you some of the guys that went in the 3 rounds before the 17th. So 16, 15, 14. This is who went. Harrison Smith. This is working across the draft. So coming back down here in order. Harrison Smith, Justin Simmons, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Jesse Bates, Jalen Ramsey, Amani Hooker, Jalen Thompson, Ryan Neal. So I don't see those safeties
you're
as
probably right.
much different than a lot of the guys that are still on the board.
Yeah.
I would rather wait and take a Dorian Williams and a Deion Henley and then dive into that DB pool we were just talking about.
I will also say, though, every draft is different. I've seen lots of different draft boards so far. So, like, just because Logan Wilson goes in the 7th in your round doesn't mean that that's where he's going to go in your draft. I mean, like, there's
the ADP from this tournament will be fascinating.
All over the place.
Y'all are probably right. You're probably right. I was just trying to play devil's advocate a little bit.
I wanted to test out because my strategy is to go like a DB in the 8th or 9th.
Yeah.
And then another one in like the 12th or 13th. And I said, I really just want to pound these like sack guys and these linebackers and just scoop up DBs.
But it goes back to what we talked about way back when for Jaquan Brisker. Like, is it worth going Jaquan Brisker and some weird linebacker, or would it be better to go Jerome Baker in the 8th, and then where you would grab him later on, grab Derek Forrest or a Kyler Gordon? You know, you're probably right. It is probably best to continue to fade
because what
these
I'm
guys,
buying
but-
is more kind of a solidified scoring floor in those players that I'm selecting in those rounds. What I'm buying each round is just like points.
Are y'all
week to week, and safeties DBs just do this week to week.
I find myself drafting a bunch of cornerbacks.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And
I probably will. Yeah.
In this scoring, I mean, the pass deflections are worth 4 points. So I mean, you can definitely do that.
And the interception guys.
Yep.
If you got a Travon Diggs, like, I don't care if he gets burned for a touchdown. He's going to get an INT that game. All right.
Yeah. I feel great about defensive backs late. I think they're actually much safer than the defensive linemen and linebackers that you're taking in that same range. I just feel like you know what the roles are of the defensive backs.
Yeah.
And then a lot of those roles for the defensive linemen, linebackers is just kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
You're just kind of guessing.
And we're splitting hairs in the 15th. Like, if you're taking one in the 8th, like, you better really be committed on a guy. But the 15th, 16th, 17th is whatever. You're 100% right, Josh. This is all going to boil down to Frankie Louvu or Zaire Franklin or Jack
Josie
Sanborn.
Or it's those types.
There's going to be one that's like, you grabbed who, and then that guy hits, and you just smash.
Yeah. Who did you hit on late?
And it might be a
differentiate your squad.
It might be a lineman. It might not even be a linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at some of these late guys. Like, I'm thinking, what if Logan Wilson goes down and Jermaine Pratt plays 95% of snaps? What if Samson Ebukam leads the Colts defensive ends like Yannick Ngakoue, the guy he is replacing, did last season? We kind of forget that.
Yeah.
And then what if Dorian Williams and Deion Henley just come in and light the world on fire? That's I'm trying to give that wild card factor late in my draft that could possibly win me the whole thing.
I was looking back at one of the best balls won last year, and the guys that I had were guys like Javon Hargrave, Josie Jewell, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, these guys that had these huge breakouts that I got all those guys at great values. That's what you got to do.
Yep, you got to hit on the late picks.
I mean, seriously, Josie Jewell I think was he was top 5 in points per game.
Yeah.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was number 3 in points per game. Javon Hargrave had those just massive weeks. So I mean, that's the picks you have to make.
He was DL 23 last year. I just looked it up.
We can talk about the dual Desi stuff all day long, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure you get studs.
Yep.
And you get guys that are going to play the entire year.
Here's
that's
the thing:
the most important.
You have to nail the late rounds, because if you whiff on your early, you're just screwed.
Yeah.
Like, if your studs go down, you're in a lot of trouble. But it's
by studs, I mean you got to draft studs throughout the entire draft.
Yes, you have to hit those late rounds, because you can't be stars and scrubs.
Yeah.
You have to have these to beat 143 other teams. Your whole squad has to be putting up numbers. You can't really have a lot of like zeros, and that it is going to be injury luck.
And don't throw too many darts. You know,
I'm not throwing many.
Yeah.
Honestly.
All right, well, hit us with the squad. What do we got?
All right, so
Hold on, let me put my seatbelt on.
Yes, sir.
So where were you? Where were you drafting at?
10th.
Okay, so 110.
Cool.
So 110, Devin White. 203, Jaelan Phillips. Had to do that for the brand.
Let's go.
Brian Burns was there though, so that was
okay. Well, let me tell you, if Myles Garrett had gone off at 105, I was going Jaelan Phillips at 106.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Saucy.
Got to do it.
Love it. Yeah, I mean that's that could be this year's Max Crosby. So I think that is a nice play there.
And Brian Burns could be also.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
All right, so 203 was Jaelan Phillips. 310 was Josh Allen. 403 was the newly paid Alex Highsmith. 510 I got Gravedigger Javon Hargrave.
Let's go.
603 I got Cameron Hayward.
Filthy.
710 I got Bradley Chubb. So I got the Jaelan Phillips Bradley Chubb stack. Which
Let's go.
I don't know if people are sleeping on Miami. Like that squad is filthy.
It's sick.
And you got an amazing defensive coordinator in there now.
Christian Wilkins.
Oh my God! I mean, Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. That's gonna help those pass
David
rushers
Long,
so
Jerome
much.
Baker. I mean,
They
Christian
crushed it.
Wilkins.
They're up there with Seattle as far as
Zach
like best
Sealer.
off seasons.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, I think that team. I would have them probably favored to win the East. I think them and the Bills right there, neck and neck.
Van Ginkel.
Van Ginkel,
Rip Van Ginkel, baby, let's go.
Hey, energy guy. That hair, baby.
That hair, we love
Gets
it.
him going.
Gardeck.
Love him too. 803, I went Khalil Mack, another dual desi guy. 910, I went Ed Oliver.
Nice.
So we got some beefy boys. We
Yeah.
got some nice dual desi guys. And then 1003, I went Demario Davis. So that's where we're at in our draft.
So that was that
Nice.
your second LB?
Second off-ball linebacker.
and
Wow.
Devin White. Okay.
Devin White, Demario Davis. Some of the guys that are still available, guys like Jermaine Pratt, Denzel Perriman. Fingers crossed that both those guys
Yep.
get to me.
Yep.
Then you got like Cody Barton, Robert Spillane, Nicholas Morrow, Anthony Walker, Christian Harris.
Anthony Walker's been getting a lot of buzz here recently.
Yeah. So there's still some solid options. I think I can still piece together a solid linebacker room because I think that I'm going to have an advantage. At the defensive line and edge position.
Oh yeah.
Well, and if you can add Pratt or Perryman as your LB3, that I would feel great about.
Yes.
As my LB2, I wasn't as crazy about it.
But even so, I'm cool with that. If you can get a bunch of guys like that, I'm fine with that.
I like the Josh Allen Graham.
Yeah, is he dual desi in there?
He's dual desi as well.
Love that.
He's kind of forgotten a little bit this year.
And you've got the dual desi little checkbox in your
Yeah.
best ball ranks.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of people that have reached out and said that they love the ranks and all that stuff, and
They should be.
they're good drafters in this. I mean, you can tell who kind of has
really can.
has these ranks.
You can tell who listens to the show,
Yeah.
who has the ranks, because they're not taking DBs in the first or second round. That's pretty much a dead giveaway. They have never read DJ Keltown's article. They have not listened to the after show or our show or looked at Adam's rankings.
Yeah.
But speaking of Adam's rankings, tonight, I haven't even talked about what we're actually getting into tonight. It's the top 24 Dynasty edge rushers. We've already done linebackers, part 1, part 2. Thank you all for all the love and support on those linebacker episodes.
Y'all love some linebackers.
You really do.
Part 2, Adam suggested splitting it into 2, and I'm so glad we did because those will probably end up being our first and second most listened to episodes of all time.
It's all about the numbers.
That's right. That's all we live for is the
year
metrics.
4 leap.
That's right. So thank you all. Thank you to Jake and Evan for holding it down. Top 24 Dynasty DBs.
Yeah, you babies are getting better.
Last week.
Better and
then
better.
Smart little cookies.
Tonight we are doing top 24 Dynasty edge rushers. So gentlemen, let's jump into it because we're already about 30 minutes in and we got 24 guys to roll through. And we're going to talk about Bobo. I think one of the guys that you took in your draft, who
Yes,
was
sir.
number 24 on the list?
Mr. Montez Sweat, defensive end for the Washington Commanders. TBD,
TBD, yeah.
you know?
Hopefully they switch it back.
Yeah.
Football team would be fine.
Yeah, I like football team.
Oh, is
seen-
that may not.
Yeah, the new owner, Magic Johnson's in the ownership group, which is tight.
Wow.
They're like, yeah, the name is on the table as one of the things we could change.
Yeah,
It'll be
cool.
after this season, though.
I like that. Montez low-key kind of young, 26.9 years old. He will be a UFA in 2024. I guess he's playing this year on his 5th-year option. 2022 stats, he played 731 snaps, which was a 70% snap share. 17 games played, 11.7 points per game. 40 total tackles, 14 TFL, 8 sacks. He had a overall defensive grade of 86.4.
Some nice grades for Montez.
Pass rush grade of 79.6.
Yep.
And then a couple of stats I dug up. In his first 4 seasons, he has only missed 5 games.
That's really good.
And then right now, his ADP is the edge 25 overall in our BBs. So I love Montez Sweat. I like his youth. I like the team that he plays for. That's a nasty defensive line. I feel like Montez, especially in BBs, especially in Dynasty, is just kind of a name that
Slept on, bro.
he can really be an
Slept
edge one
on.
for you, and
Yep.
he's being drafted as a back end edge too. I don't know if y'all love him as much as I do, but here at edge 24 for Adam, this is really solid. In Dynasty, I feel very comfortable with Montez.
Yeah, I mean, he's still just 27,
Mm-hmm.
or he'll be 27. He's not 27 yet, but I feel like the best is yet to come for Montez Sweat. I mean, this is he checks all the boxes for us. Just prototypical size. He's 6'6", 260, 9.90 RAS score, was insanely productive in college. And he's got good surroundings. He might move on. We've been hearing him in the trade rumors and stuff. But if he does stay there in Washington, I mean that's a great setup for
That's a
anybody.
great defensive line.
Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, if he can ever get it
Yep.
together. That's a good situation to be in. And I do think that 11.7 points per game last year for Montez Sweat. That's not great.
Yeah.
I think he can go to that 13 to 14 point per game level.
I'd like to see him get a little higher snap count. I'd like to see him inch towards 75, 80% of snaps. Now, let me ask you all this, because it is kind of funny. We have two premier edge rushers, both named Sweat. Josh Sweat going as DL 26 right now, and Montez Sweat going as DL 36 as edge 25 off the board.
Say that again.
So Josh Sweat is edge 20. He is DL 26. Montez Sweat is edge 25, DL 36. So he is 10 DL picks later, Montez is, than Josh.
Yeah.
I think I'd much rather wait and take Montez at DL 36.
I have a very definitive answer, Adam.
I like Josh Sweat quite a bit.
The only thing that I'm worried about with Josh Sweat is Nolan Smith. And isn't there
Reddick?
somebody else, Haason Reddick? I mean, maybe Nolan Smith is the heir apparent to Haason Reddick, because I think maybe Reddick's contract is up this year.
Well, there's still Brandon Graham there.
Yeah, I'm just worried it's a little more rotational with the
Gosh,
Eagles
Josh
this
Sweat
year.
was good. I'm just saying, 14.4 points per game across 16 games.
was
Dude was good.
Filthy.
He was good.
We'll get to him in just a sec.
So let me ask you this one real quick before we move on. So Montez Sweat, they probably move on from Chase Young because they didn't pick up that fifth-year option.
A lot of trade rumors about Chase Young as well.
So Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen are the Washington Commanders' two biggest cap hits right now. Allen under contract until 2026. Deron Payne under contract until 2027.
He just got paid.
McLaurin through 2026. You don't have any quarterback that you're paying a ton of money to right now. Why would you not just keep Sweat and then
Or tag him.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they'll let Young walk or trade him in season, especially if he's playing well. And then I think they'll try to keep Montez in the building. I really do.
26 years old. I mean, he's kind of slept on, not only in IDP, but also I feel like
He's
don't
been
know-
productive and he's been there.
Yeah.
I don't
Exactly.
know how you would pay Chase Young and not Montez
Yeah.
The
Sweat.
bigger thing too, he's played in every game but 5
Yeah,
games
that's
the first
really
4
impressive.
years. Young's almost the opposite.
Yes,
Yeah.
he really
bad.
is.
He's been really bad.
So let's talk about a guy for my beloved Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to try to get up to training camp. I'm going to try my best. That first weekend in August, we're going to take the baby. We're just going to do it. I'm hopeful. We'll see what the wife says. It is the Indianapolis Colts edge rusher, 24.7 years old. 2022 stats, 67% snap share. As I mentioned, Yannick Ngakoue was actually the leading snap getter for the Indianapolis Colts at the edge position last year. He played 12 games, 12 started. And remember, snap percentages are across the games that they actually played. So 11.4 points per game, 45 total tackles, 10 TFLs, 6 sacks, a 69.6 overall defensive grade, and a pass rush grade of 58.3. I'm just waiting for it to come together with Kwity Paye. 11.4 points per game, very similar to what we saw from Montez Sweat. I probably would have Montez a little bit higher than Kwity Paye. I think he can put it together. Thus far, he really hasn't. He's been more of a tease than living up to that first-round potential. But, I mean, as we know, sometimes edge rusher takes a little bit of time. So I'm taking Kwity Paye when he's available in those kind of that like 7th, 8th round in these best ball drafts. But he doesn't really get me as excited as some of the other guys on this list.
Yeah. He's like, he's unknown. We expect a lot out of him. We think that he's going to be good, but we still haven't seen it yet, and he still has kind of struggled with the health so far. But I mean, I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be, that the problem with most of these edge rushers, once you get outside like the top 5, it's like they're all kind of the same. It's like you don't really want to spend up for any of them, because I swear from like 15 to 40, they're all, you can kind of talk yourself into any of them, you know? So it's you're just kind of splitting hairs, surely, with a lot of these guys. But I mean, Kwity Paye, he's going to be 25 in the season, so this will be his 3rd year. We did see improvement as far as fantasy points per game from 2021 to 2022. So, I mean, yeah, I think we could see a nice little year from Kwity Paye. A great defense. I mean,
Gus Bradley's back, so you have continuity. They brought in Ebukam.
Yeah.
They brought in your boy, Al-Qadim Muhammad. They brought him back. So you got Dio Odengbo coming up as well.
DeForest Buckner,
DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart.
Yeah, it probably shouldn't have great defense, but solid up front.
It's solid.
Really solid up front.
It has the potential to come together. Shaq Leonard, Zaire Franklin. You've got Kenny Moore there as well.
Shaq Leonard ain't playing ball for y'all.
We'll see.
Rhonda Thomas with the captain patch.
Rodney Thomas's dad killing a bald eagle, getting canceled. So yeah, Kwity Paye here at 23. We'll see if he can put it together. But as long as he stays away from hunting with Rodney Thomas's dad, he'll stay out of trouble.
Pretty sick
online.
though. Pretty sick. No lie.
It is pretty sick to kill our national bird. I gotta say, not a fan of that. Let's talk about the other sweaty bro though, Josh Sweat. Did you double up? You doubled up on the sweaty bros.
did,
Okay,
double
so
down.
talk to us
Look
about
at
Josh
you.
Sweat here, Bobo, at number 22.
Josh Sweat, again, like Montez, 26.3 years old, still pretty young. 3-year deal, $20 million. He's a UFA in 2025. They have a potential out in 2024. His 2022 snaps, 587 snaps, which was a 56% snap share. He played in 16 games. He averaged 14.4 points per game.
That's
very
nice.
healthy.
Yes.
48 total tackles, 15 TFL, 1 INT. I'll remember that. I think it was an INT for a touchdown. And he actually had 11 sacks last year. Josh Sweat had a defensive grade of 83.8 and then a pass rush grade of 80.9.
Man, Josh Sweat put it
Slept
together
on,
last year,
man.
boys. Now, what do we think with the defensive coordinator gone to Arizona? You did lose Javon Hargrave, but they brought back a lot of the guys that left. Haason Reddick is still there. Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham came back. You have Jordan Davis. You have Jalen Carter. They added Nolan Smith. So it's like, I think for whatever it was they lost, they've added enough in reinforcements that I'm not really worried about a fall off, kind of the brain drain on the coaching staff plus the exodus of talent. I think this Eagles defensive front is still going to be fearsome.
Yeah, the front is. I feel like the learning curve for the Eagles is probably going to be the linebackers, and maybe even the defensive backs with Chauncey going to Detroit. Hopefully Chauncey's okay, by the way.
Yeah.
It sounds like that he's
Sounds like he avoided major damage, so
Yeah.
he's day-to-day right now.
But no, I mean that defensive line. You talk about Milton Williams. You talk about 10.0 RAS from last year. Jordan
Davis.
God, I forgot about Milton Williams.
And-
His team is so sick.
and then Jalen Carter. I mean, I'm almost arguing that the defensive line is better than it was last
Could
year.
be.
Yeah.
Nolan Smith from OTAs, they say like he looks amazing. It could be very rotational though. That's the only issue. I mean, a 56% snap share for Josh Sweat is not great, especially when we just talked about Montez Sweat playing 731 snaps last year, which was a 70% snap share, and we're kind of wanting that to go up.
587.
Dang.
56% for Josh.
Josh Sweat, a guy with 11 sacks, I'd love for him to play more than 56% of snaps.
Yeah, that was kind of alarming. I didn't realize that it was 56%. You figure when someone averages 14.4, points per game that they're playing around 70 to 75%.
Yeah, maybe that's a thing where they play a lot of those, defensive tackles first and second down, and then they rotate Nolan Smith.
That's just what Philly does.
Yeah, Reddick and Sweat in on third down. They can be very rotational, but maybe that's why, Sweat got 11 sacks. Maybe there's just a bunch of fresh guys that you can just run in. Man, it's going to be fun for whatever linebacker plays behind them this year. I hope Nakobe Dean sounds like he's doing really well in camp. It sounds like he's going to be a good draft from his ADP in a lot of these best balls. No, I love Josh Sweat. I feel like he's just a guy that's forgotten. And, here we are. I don't know what his ADP is in the best balls. I don't remember what round it is. I got
26. He's DL 26,
And
edge 20.
And he had 11 sacks last year.
Yep.
11. That's crazy.
I do worry with that kind of sack rate on that few of snaps, though.
I
Could
get
we
it.
see that come back down a little bit? I'd like to see more snap volume to help kind of ward off regression.
Montez or Josh, which is a better sell right now?
Probably Josh, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably Josh.
Okay.
Josh has dealt with some injuries in the past too. I think he had a pretty bad knee injury in college.
I hate to even kind of go back to this because I know memory can be a tricky thing when you're, as we all are, father of two. Memory just kind of not our strong suit at this point, But I feel like Josh Sweat was one of those players where he was injured a lot, kind of didn't live up to his potential at times. And then at least for me, it just kind of flew under the radar how good his 2022 was. Not that I had written him off in my mind, but I wasn't really looking at him as a guy that I had high expectations for anymore.
Sure.
So am
He-
I
he
remembering
had some
Josh
monster
Sweat
weeks.
correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His career at least?
Yeah,
Up to this point?
right? He's been kind of just a hype guy to this point. And this year, he followed through with it. But yeah, I mean, you look at the scoring and the way he scored, like he had some huge splash weeks.
But I mean, that Eagles defensive line ate last year too.
Even when Jim Schwartz was there 2 years ago, when he left, I thought, yes, we're finally going to get more snaps for Josh Sweat. And we really didn't. So, Maybe Sweat's just better used as a rotational guy.
Yeah, that's the only thing that gives me pause. But Eddie, who's this next guy here on the list? Number 21. I'm curious what you have to say about this dude, not just for Dynasty, but for redraft, because it's a guy we just talked about for my Madness squad.
Yeah, George Karlaftis. So he is 22.2 years of age. His 2022 stats, he played 730 snaps. That was a 64% snap share. 17 games played, 8.7 points per game. The stat line looked like 33 total tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 6 sacks. He had 40 sack yards, 2 fumble recoveries, 7 pass breakups, and 11 QB hits.
Gosh.
Grade-wise, 50.2 overall PFF grade with the 58.1 pass rush grade, 41.2 run defense grade. So
not the best on the grades.
A
but
lot of room for improvement, right? But he's just in a great situation. And I think it is impressive that he played 730 snaps last year.
Yep.
He played more than Sweat and Montez.
Yeah, I looked this up because I was curious. He played a lot earlier in the season. He had higher snap percentages game by game. And then as they got closer to the postseason, Spagnuolo, Andy Reid brought in a lot of these veteran guys like the Carlos Dunlaps. And so you saw Karlaftis' snap percentages dip down a little bit near the end of the season. But now those dudes are gone. It's Karlaftis and
Felix Anaduke.
Yeah, FAU really as the 2 primary pass rushers now alongside Chris Jones. So that's what's got me excited is they like this guy. They gave him 730 snaps in his rookie season, and they liked him enough not to bring these veteran guys back. They still could. There's some guys lingering out there, Jadeveon Clowney, Ngakoue. But if it stays the way it is, I'm hopeful that we could see an uptick in snaps for Karlaftis and an uptick in production as well.
Yeah, he's a great piece to have. What would you guys be willing to part with in a trade for somebody like Karlaftis? Are you trying to go out and acquire Karlaftis?
Yeah, I did this offseason. Sam turned me down. I offered him, I think, Kwity Paye in a draft pick maybe. Wow. Or maybe it was maybe a pick swap or something like that. Something, it was pretty close. It was Paye, and I think I did a late pick swap maybe.
I gotcha.
So
I don't have Karlaftis anywhere. I don't really know why. Situationally, I mean, he's going to be the guy there as of right now. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't bring a guy like Clowney in. That kind of seems like a Chiefs thing to do.
And here's the thing. We haven't really seen a Chiefs edge rusher do it. Right?
Yeah,
we haven't seen a Chiefs. The number one guy for the Chiefs is Chris Jones. It's an interior guy. So I think that's the problem for me is I haven't really seen the X-player role for the Chiefs.
And Jones is nasty. Jones has got a little bit of that AD characteristic to where Chris Jones requires so much attention that he makes some of the guys around him look a little bit better, in my opinion. They need to pay him. But, yeah, Karlaftis is fine.
He's wanting $30 million, I saw, per year.
Ooh. Chris Jones is?
Yeah.
Yikes. I don't know if he's getting that.
Well, yeah, I mean, with Quinnen and Jeffrey Simmons both just getting paid and not really getting – they could have gotten more probably.
Yeah, I think they could have. What'd they tap out at, 25, 26 per year?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't think
by
they
the
were.
End of it.
I don't think they were sniffing 30.
No. So that's probably.
And
not
those are
gonna
young
help.
guns. Those are guys
right.
with that you want to be paying on these long-term deals.
Yeah,
because they're going to age well.
Let's jump into a little BB real quick. So I'm on the clock in the 17th. Give me your take on Baron Browning. You for Baron Browning?
There's a lot.
He's hurt.
He's
hurt.
Really? He's hurt, and there's
yeah.
just a lot of guys there now.
Drew Sanders in the mix.
Yeah, what's his role going to be? I mean, Randy Gregory's back.
Gregory. I think if I was
Zach
going,
Allen's there now.
Yeah, you have Zach Allen, right?
That's right. Yeah,
I don't know that I want to
Steer
double
clear.
dip in the Denver DL. Well,
yeah, I'm probably just steering clear out of everyone besides Zach Allen and Randy Gregory.
It is interesting. The further you get into these, the more time I kind of have to take on some of these picks. I kind of got to go down through and just make sure I hadn't missed anything.
The ends of drafts are so wildly different. The top part of the draft is pretty similar as you go down the ADP.
Yeah.
But you get down to the end of the draft, and it's like all hell's broken loose.
Yeah.
So I'm actually on the clock as well, boys. And the BB with our free subscribers, shout out theidpshow.com. Sign up as a free sub, and we will send you free drafts that we sponsor the payout so you can come try out this IDP thing. So I've gone Jaelan Phillips and Brian Burns. I'm at the 111.
Oh, wow.
So I went Jaelan Phillips 111, Brian Burns 202. What are we thinking here at the 311? So we have, I mean, a lot of the, the top
You better come original here.
DL are still on the board. Josh Sweat is there.
311, anybody?
311.
It's a band.
It's a band. Yeah, you know I'm not going to get your band
I listened to it
references.
this week.
Jeffrey Simmons is
Amber.
still on the board there. Deron Payne is still on the board. Christian Wilkins. You music notes. All right, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to figure out, and I'll let you guys know who I end up going with here. But
Can't wait.
let's go down to number 20.
Ooh, Chris Jones went right before your pick.
He did, yeah. That made me mad. And
should
Aaron
not have been
Donald's
there.
already gone second round.
You
so
look
I'm-
over there,
I'm mad.
Joshy. I'll talk about old Greg.
Yeah, let's talk about old Greg at number 20.
Old Greg Rousseau for the Buffalo Bills, 23.3 years old. He is a UFA in 2026. His 2022 stats, he played 463 snaps, which was a 56% snap share. He played 13 games played, and he started in all 13 games. He averaged 11.8 points per game, 37 total tackles, 10 TFLs, and 8 sacks. Wow, I didn't know he had 8 sacks last year. He had a overall defensive grade of 80.9 and a pass rush grade of 82.5. Should Greg Rousseau be higher in your dynasty ranks?
I don't know.
You can
That's
make the argument.
That's a pretty tough rotation there.
And that's
I
pretty
feel
high.
like.
It's pretty high. Top
Yeah,
24
that's
is a
true.
big deal.
That's true.
Yeah,
I mean,
if
you
you
know.
make this list, you're good.
This Rousseau's second year,
Third. This will be
third
number
year.
3.
Old Greg.
And he's improved every year, you know.
Yep.
11.8 points per game last year. That was up from 6.6. Sorry, 8.8 in 2021. And the PFF grades also went up, you know. It was 70.2 in 21. I think what he said, he was like at 80.6 last year.
Yeah. Speaking of best balls, another guy that I love is Leonard Floyd, who's going to be playing with Greg Rousseau this year, because I'm not so sure
Right.
that Von Miller is going to be super healthy to start.
Yeah. We'll probably see him after Halloween.
Yeah, and I feel like we've talked about it before on the pod, just how perennially slept on Leonard Floyd has been.
10 sacks, I think, every year for like
Dude,
the last 3-4 years.
He's been filthy, and he's still low-key kind of young.
yeah, he's just 30.
Those are going to be two really good edge rushers there in Buffalo.
Okay, I've narrowed it down.
Okay.
We are going with Alex Highsmith or Uchenna Nwosu.
Oh,
Who do we like there? That's tough. Those are two
boys
favorites.
that
Just got paid, just
both
got the
of 'em.
bag.
Both of them well deserving.
all right, who else have you drafted?
I've got Jaelan Phillips and Brian Burns.
Okay, so you're not double dipping at all.
That's tough. I mean, because Highsmith also has a really nice floor with the tackles, but so does Uchenna.
Yep.
Both a couple dogs.
God, that's tough.
I mean, my heart would say Uchenna, but
Yeah.
I like Alex Highsmith quite a bit too.
Go with your heart.
I'm going to go with Highsmith. I don't have any Highsmith shares
Bad
thus
heart.
far.
That's a bad heart.
And he was
This
great last year.
offseason,
70.
so-
I think he had like 74 tackles. If I'm
Here's my
remembering
thing.
right.
If you
Highsmith,
if
done.
you took Uchenna though,
63 tackles last year, 74 and 21.
do you
There you
have
go.
another pick in like 4 picks?
Yeah, so there'll be 1, 2, 3. 3 picks from now.
So there's a chance
Uchenna
that
might
if
be
you
there.
I don't know. I think the opposite. I think if you had gone Uchenna, there's a chance that maybe Highsmith comes around.
I don't know.
Highsmith is 4
Yeah.
picks higher in the ADP.
You should have got
Okay.
paid tonight. It'll be on people's
Yep.
minds.
So there you go.
Yeah, that's a bad call.
Old Greg, let me ask you this. What keeps you from having Old Greg a little higher in the rankings? Is it because of the rotation in Buffalo?
Yeah, I mean, right. We're probably not going to see him get more than, like 70%. But even if he does, like 70% of Buffalo is not the same as like 70% on the Jets, you know?
We want these Buffalo edge rushers to be a thing, and it just hasn't quite come together the way we want.
Man, Rousseau has a lot of good PFF numbers from last season.
He's great.
He, I don't know. I like Rousseau.
Yeah. I mean, I snagged Von Miller there. I don't think it's sounding like Von Miller is going to start the season on the pup. So that's something to keep in mind in these drafts. But when he was there, he had, I wrote it in the article, he was averaging like 12.7 points per game in the games that he played. And he had 3 games over 20 points. So the boom potential is there.
Yeah.
But I think the rotation is just what scares me off. Like, who is going to get the snaps? It's clearly, if you want to dip into that pond, Rousseau is clearly the guy over Epinesa, even over Von Miller.
But yeah, I mean, just 300 pass rush snaps for Rousseau last year. I mean, look at someone like Micah Parsons. He had 488. Jaelan Phillips had 480.
Let's get that up. Come
They're just
on,
the
boys.
opportunity is just not, and some of that's not his fault. It's the fact that Buffalo is a really good team, and they're not out there for extended
Something
drives.
to keep in mind. Leslie Frazier gone. Sean McDermott is going to be calling the defensive plays now.
Well, and Tremaine Edmonds is gone as well.
Yep.
That team, and Von Miller is not going to be there for half a year. That team is not going to be as good as they were last year.
It's also interesting to me that Rousseau is only a DL and sleeper. I figured he would have dual Desi.
Yeah, Von Miller does.
Yeah.
Another one of those.
It is weird. Yeah, like why does Chandler Jones have it if Max Crosby does not?
Yeah,
Doesn't make sense. Get it together, sleeper.
Yeah.
So
but don't take anything away.
Yeah, please don't take it away now.
Just add if you would.
That we've done it. Okay, so back to me. Let's see who they went with, and they went with Buda Baker and TJ Edwards. Thank you for newbies to IDP, letting me now scoop up Uchenna Nwosu at the 402. Done.
A filthy little start there, Josh.
Not too bad. So let's talk about the next guy on the list.
Oh,
Eddie.
so you got both of them?
Yeah, I got both of them.
I thought it was like a one or other thing.
No, I got Highsmith at the end of the third, and then I'm at the turn. I'm at the 11th,
Beautiful.
so I got it 3 picks later.
Good stuff.
So let's talk about number 19 here. I'm going to give you the solo cam because this is, I know, one of your favorite players from the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, Mr. Danielle.
As Lauren drunkenly called him, Danielle Hunter. I think I went to school with her.
Yeah.
Love that.
Danielle Hunter, 28.8 years old. Kind of an old ass.
He is, yeah. What's up with you, Danielle?
Yeah, he signed a 5-year, $72 million deal that runs out next year, so he will be a free agent in 2024. 2022 stats, he played 906 snaps. That was 78% snap share, so it was nice seeing Hunter back out there. 13.3 points per game, 65 total tackles, 12 TFLs, 10.5 sacks, 63 sack yards, 1 forced fumble, 3 pass breakups, and 22 QB hits.
Let's go, Danielle.
87.1 overall PFF grade, 72.3 run defense grade, 80.1 pass rush grade. So Danielle Hunter continues to be an elite pass rusher in this league. He is getting up there in years, but I mean, this guy is an absolute freak. I mean, this is someone that we could see, be like a Cam Jordan, be productive
into his 30s.
34, 35.
I mean, here's the thing I would say, Bobo.
Yes.
If Danielle Hunter was 24 years old, he's probably number 5.
Oh, at least.
Yeah,
Top 5 on Adam's list.
definitely.
It's just age.
Yep.
And there's nothing not to like about Danielle Hunter.
It's age and the injury history.
Yeah.
And he has been a little bit, I think, pissy about the whole contract situation.
Yeah.
Am I remembering that he demanded a trade?
Yeah, I mean, he's look at the deal. 5 years, $72 million. That's underpaid.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
that's
is.
underpaid for what he has done for them.
And seeing what the Vikings have done, shipping off a lot of these old, expensive veterans, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook.
It's gonna be a lot of double teams for Danielle Hunter this year.
I think he's going to be on another team next year. I really do.
Yeah,
It's
probably
gonna be-
for the best.
It's gonna be tough because I guess they did bring in your boy Marcus Davenport, so he'll have a little bit of help. But I don't know that Marcus Davenport is as good as
Zadarius
Smith was last year.
No.
And then now you don't have Eric Kendricks behind you. They've kind of let some of those defensive tackles walk over the last couple of years too. Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yeah.
I don't know. Danielle might be a good sell right now. I know that's probably probably stereotypical because he's already like 28 years old, so he's getting older. But he is healthy. I mean, we talked the neck fusion thing a couple years ago, thinking like, oh gosh, I hope he can stay healthy. But he's proved over the last 2 years that hasn't hindered him at all. I don't know. It just depends on the career arc for him. Is he going to be one of these defensive ends that at year 29 or 30 hangs it up, or is he going to play until he's 32 or 33?
I think he is. I think he's going to be, like Adam said, one of these guys that's good into his 30s.
He's been underpaid.
Do you think
he's going to continue to get those bags?
Is there any chance that Danielle doesn't play for the Vikes this year?
I think he plays for the Vikes
yeah,
this
I think
year.
he's there this
Okay.
year.
Here's what I will say. I can almost see a moment like March, whenever free agency starts up. We're doing the recap pod, and leading off the news is Danielle Hunter just got 5 years, $100 million from the Arizona Cardinals, or some fill-in-the-blank team. I could just feel that coming, and we are going to be so excited about Danielle Hunter. So I'm not selling him right now because I really do think he's going to hit free agency,
Same.
get a Von Miller-type deal. I think Von was around the same age when he hit free agency and got that bag from the Bills, and that's when you sell.
Okay.
If you want out on Danielle Hunter, don't do it now. Just wait.
I think Vaughn was a little older. Wasn't Vaughn over
Probably.
30?
Probably so.
Another year or two on him, but yeah, you're probably right.
And
Might
he's
be
a little
too
more
early on Danielle.
He, Von Miller is a little more prolific and
But
healthy
in these
early
best
on.
in these best balls, people still kind of keen to Danielle. He
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
he doesn't hang around too long.
No,
He's he's edge 14, DL 17 overall.
that's I mean
I'd have him high.
fine.
I'd have him inside the top 12. So I think
Yeah.
he's getting slept on a little too much.
Yeah,
I'd have him over, like, looking up this list here, I'd have him over Matthew Judon. I'd have him over Joey Bosa. I'd probably,
Judon's like 31. I probably would have him over Judon.
Yeah.
we love a lot of these guys here. Aidan Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeaux, Jaelan Phillips. But, Danielle Hunter probably should be above a lot of those guys, if not all of them.
He's gonna be good for a while.
Yeah.
Judon's a guy that I could kind of see due for some regression this
Yes.
year.
What if he does the opposite and is just bad
Yeah.
at the start of the season and great at the end?
That would be nice.
That would be great. Thank
and
you.
Now they have Uche, and they also drafted that Keon White. I forget
Yeah.
where he played ball. Maybe
Georgia
in
Tech.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech. Who's going to get some opportunity this year. And you know how, I know Josh hates having any type of Patriots player for
Don't do it.
fantasy, but it also makes a ton of sense. Like, they all, offensively and defensively, it can be maddening at times.
Yeah, because Belichick don't care. He
Yeah.
don't care about any of those guys.
Change that from one week to the next.
About Danielle Hunter though, Danielle.
Yeah.
Danielle
I'm having
Hunter.
trouble with his name tonight.
Yeah, it's okay. You're a dad.
Danielle.
You're scared.
Danielle Hunter. Good God. What are you getting for him in a trade, or what are you willing to give up?
I'd give up a second for Danielle Hunter.
To get Danielle Hunter,
Yes,
Wow.
I feel like that's rich.
absolutely. Most of the guys on this list, I'm happy to give a second for.
You feel like that's too much?
Probably not, honestly.
If you think back,
Locked and loaded,
It-
stud edge rusher.
Yeah, if I'm like if I need an edge rusher, if I've got if I got Jaelan Phillips, I want to add to that room.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably do that.
Yeah. Right now, especially those draft picks, you don't get to cash those in until April,
Yeah.
May.
the other
It would
thing,
be a future
let
one.
me-
I'd
let me-
try,
yeah,
I would try and do
2025.
I would try to do that.
yeah.
Let me hold Danielle Hunter for this next season and just
And
eat.
if also you're someone that's needs to rebuild, like you should probably do that deal.
Yes, you should.
The other thing too about these picks is that, like, I know it's weird because the Dynasty community has been saying for so many years now that, like, 2023 is the draft you want. There's so many good running
Happens
backs
every
coming
year,
out.
Bobby.
I know it's really aggravating though. So now if you look back in hindsight, your 2023 offensive picks were probably like Josh Downs, Rashan Johnson, Tank Bigsby, Jalen Hyatt. I don't know, Rashee Rice,
You're not
Marvin
getting-
Mims. There's just going to be a lot of these guys. All right, if I named 6 of those guys, maybe one of those guys is going to work out
Yes,
for
the hit
fantasy.
rate of second round picks.
Now, I will say the second round, like, IDPs, there's probably Drew Sanders, Jack Sanborn.
Jack
I can't
Sanborn.
quit him. I can't help it.
He really does love Jack Sanborn.
Drew Sanders, Jack Campbell, Will Anderson definitely didn't
Tyree
go in the second.
Wilson.
Tyree Wilson.
That's what I'm thinking here. Let's take Tyree Wilson as an example
Mm-hmm.
because I think you're hoping optimistically that Tyree Wilson, who is a second round pick, I think that's a good comp here. You're getting a Tyree Wilson like player in 2024. You're hoping he turns into Danielle Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
So do I want possibly Danielle Hunter with a much longer runway? Possibly longer runway than Danielle Hunter. We're talking about possibly him playing into his early 30s, or do you just want Danielle Hunter?
Right.
also,
So that's kind of my thing is like, you're not going to,
We're looking for the next Danielle Hunter. You could have Danielle Hunter.
yes, you're not going to get
Yeah.
Micah Parsons in the second round of your draft.
Yeah.
You're not going to get Will Anderson in the second round of your draft.
I try to hang on to my first. The seconds, okay, whatever. Third, fourth, and fifth could care less about.
Yeah.
If you've got a team's like who's pretty bad second, it might be worth holding on to. But I'm starting to really learn to, like, I don't care about these
Yeah.
picks.
If it gets a deal done,
Especially this time of
ship 'em
year,
off.
Josh. That would be a good time to go and. I wouldn't start with a second. I'd probably start with a third.
Yeah, see if you can get it for maybe a couple thirds.
Yeah.
I've got like 5 third-round picks. I'd happily send over, 2 or 3 third-round picks to get it done.
So let's jump into the next guy because
Yeah.
I'm really interested
Stick
to
in
hear
the
what y'all
NFC
have
North.
to say about the next two, honestly. But Rashan Gary, Green Bay Packers defensive end, 25.7 years old, coming off of an ACL tear last season. He's a UFA in 2024. His stats from last season, he played 378 snaps, which was a 70% snap share.
In the games that he played.
He played 9 games. He started all those, had 13.9 points per game. He had 32 tackles, 7 TFL, 6 sacks, and a bunch of other, big plays. Forced fumble, fumble recovery, 1 pass breakup. Wow, 12 QB hits, which is another thing I've been paying attention to in these best balls. The TFLs and the QB hits. You know who I think led QB hits last season was Max Crosby. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that
Shocker.
a lot. But defensive grade of 82.9 and then a pass rush grade of 83 and also a coverage grade of 90.1.
Rashan Gary, excellent in coverage,
Hey,
apparently.
give
Better
that
than
boy
most
dual
safeties.
Desi if he's not.
That's why he tore his ACL.
That's right. He was trying to cover a
So-
running back out of the backfield.
I will say I'm having a really hard time valuing Rashan Gary right now in Dynasty and in redraft. And in redraft, I'm really having a hard time taking him at all.
I don't want him for 2023.
Yeah.
Now,
don't
what
want
about for Dynasty?
Dynasty,
Yes,
sure.
he's a great buy in Dynasty.
Absolutely.
Okay. What do you-
Fantastic buy.
We just talked about a second for 28-year-old Danielle. What are we willing to give for Rashan
I
Gary?
mean, you should probably be willing to give about the same amount for him.
Okay.
It would be a harder pill to swallow because you're probably not getting any return on investment with that this year, at least until later in the season.
I also feel like the Rashan Gary manager is kind of savvy to who Rashan
Right.
Gary is.
They're not going to be giving him away for less than a third.
Exactly,
Most likely, right?
exactly.
So you're going to have to like buy him if
Yeah.
you want him.
And it's a weird time to go in. Maybe it's not. Maybe if you got a little taxi squad or if you got an IR, it might be a nice time to go get
Yeah.
Rashan Gary and let him sit.
He could be worth a second plus.
Yep.
Is he going to be worth a first? Probably not. So he's one of those guys like I don't really want to go pay because you, like I mentioned in there, earlier in the episode, you can just find value.
Yeah.
At
Mhm.
Edge. I mean,
Yep.
Edge is loaded with value now.
I was thinking about this the other day. At what point do the team can you on Sleeper actually put a player in the IR? Like, at what point in the NFL schedule? Like, once they deem these players like a pup is not the IR, but once they put them on IR, when will that be? When's the time frame for that?
I think
going
IR
into week one.
is only an in-season mechanism.
Okay.
So up until like the off-season, it's the PUP list.
I gotcha.
And PUP list was 6 weeks. It went down to, I believe, 4 weeks.
And if you pup these guys, you can't put them on IR and Sleeper.
I don't know. I don't know how that works
Maybe.
with Sleeper.
You might be able to do that.
We have in RSO, our bylaws, we have PUP is the same as IR. So
Yeah.
if he goes on PUP, you can put him on IR.
Bring him back
But
out.
you don't get IR until the season starts.
I gotcha.
And I think they changed the rules about how many guys you can bring on and off IR because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's different now than it has been because you used to only be able to designate one player to come back off IR the entire season.
Wow.
And I think they changed that the year of COVID because so many people were hitting like COVID IR and stuff.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they kind of changed the rules up.
Rashan Gary was actually on track for a pretty nasty season.
He was gonna be great.
He was approaching 60 tackles and 14 TFLs, 12 sacks potentially.
13.9 points per game in the
Yeah.
games he played.
6 sacks in 9 games is a really, really healthy start for a guy like Rashan Gary.
Adam just said he wanted to see Montez Sweat creep up to that 13, 14 points per game mark, and here was Rashan Gary doing the damn thing.
Adam, what was Gary's? What was his draft capital in the actual NFL draft? Wonder
He
how
was a
high-
first-round pick, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was pretty high. People forget you look at his picture and he's like a doughy looking dude.
Yeah.
This dude, 6'4", 277, 34-inch arms, ran a 4.58 40,
He's a nasty athlete.
7.263 cone, 38-inch vert, 1,000 on the broad, 9.94 RAS.
Gosh.
Freak, but he is. He's like a little doughboy. He's
He
got
is.
kind of the fat face.
Yeah. So, but and then you look at the advanced stats for Gary last year, 17.3% pass rush win rate. That was 14th best among all edge rushers. He had an 18.8% pressure rate.
Wow.
That was like top 3. I think that was third among all edge rushers. Yeah, it was third among all edge rushers. So 18.6% pressure rate.
He was the 12th overall pick in the 2019 NFL draft.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's got it all.
Yep.
Draft capital.
It's just the injury.
And the production, the advanced metrics are all great. But, yeah, how is he going to recover from that ACL? So, I mean, before the ACL, Rashan Gary was definitely like a top 10 pick.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, we have seen him slide a little bit because of that ACL. You just never know how some of these guys are going to bounce back from that stuff. And as far as 2023 goes, I'm avoiding every single player going off a major injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No, thank you.
Yep.
No, thank you. I wish Rashan Gary, Jordan Brooks, Von Miller, wish
Harold
them all.
Landry.
Yeah, Harold Landry, wish them all well, but not touching any of them.
Yep.
Jamal Adams, Shaq Leonard.
Nope.
Yeah.
No,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, they're still pretty value. I mean, you have to take them still pretty high in these drafts.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're still like going higher than I'm willing to
We
take 'em.
finally suppressed
Well,
Jordan Brooks a little
And
bit.
there is kind of a sliding scale here of like the Rashan Gary and Jordan Brookses of the world who probably aren't going to play until like mid-season.
Yeah.
It's like Chase Young last year, right?
Yeah.
You're not getting Chase Young to start the season.
Yeah.
Whereas I
And
understand.
were you happy when you got Chase Young?
No,
back?
of course not.
He was awful.
Same
Yeah.
with Javonte Williams.
I didn't realize his injury was as significant as
Oh,
it was.
yeah.
He
I was-
also had a patella
Yeah.
It was
injury in
bad.
there as well.
I had heard
really
they-
bad.
Who was it that maybe it was Trippin?
Trip was talking about. They had a graft from his one
The
knee.
other knee.
Yes, onto his injured knee.
Crazy.
So yeah, it's. But there are also guys. That's why I was willing to take a shot on Landry, was because he's a year out, and even if he is slow to start out, just give me the volume.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
what
he's
I'm
like a tackle. He gets a lot of tackles.
That's
too.
what I'm hoping for. Is like if he was a 70% guy coming off an ACL, probably wouldn't have gone there. But we saw this guy play 90% of snaps the last time he was healthy.
And the Titans are just kind of gonna run it back.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
they're
I
just
mean,
like, we got Tannehill and Derrick Henry and these sick ass Houston
DeAndre
Oilers throwbacks.
Hopkins.
Hopkins and Burke. I mean,
Yeah.
and let's ride. I mean,
Let's see
they're
if we
well
can-
coached.
yeah.
They can scrap together.
Let's see if we
9
can
to
win
10
the
wins.
AFC South.
Henry
can.
needs to stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's a big
Oh
part.
yeah, they got to ride him for sure.
Well, this next guy, Bobo, I know you are a big fan of.
Oh, yeah.
It is Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars, 27.2. That's sneaky old.
Yeah, low key.
For Josh
Yeah.
Allen. UFA next season, so he is up for a payday. 723 snaps, 17 games played, 11 started, 12.4 points per game, 57 total tackles, 11 TFLs, 6 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, a defensive touchdown, 2 pass breakups, 22 QB hits, and an 84.7 overall defensive grade with a pass rush grade of 79.8. Bobo, what is it about Josh Allen that gets you excited? Because he just leaves me a little cold. I think it's just been a little bit of a tease from Josh Allen, and kind of like Montez Sweat, it really hasn't, or Kwity Paye, it really hasn't come together yet for Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He's been good.
Maybe
I think we expected more.
Maybe we're just all chasing that rookie season that he had. You know, I think rookie season with Calais Campbell, with Yannick Ngakoue, I think that was 2019. He had an 11-sack season. Maybe we're just continuing to chase that, hoping that that comes back around. I will say that Tripp and Macri talked on the last Big Nickel about the usage with Travon Walker, who we'll talk about next, and Josh Allen, kind of swapping roles there the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. The last 2 weeks of the season, Josh Allen had a pass rush grade of 90.9, and then in week 18 had 81.7. So I do think that Josh Allen can kind of figure it out. The thing that I'm worried about with Josh Allen is that the Jaguars don't keep him and he goes somewhere else. Would he go to a better situation where he would play more snaps? I'm not sure. But I also think that there's maybe a potential that he holds out, because I think he held out of minicamp this year because of the not getting a new contract. So that's something to pay attention to also. A little mini who'd you get? I did just trade Josh Allen to Macri. I traded Josh Allen and Josh Downs for Devin Lloyd and Sky Moore. It's kind of a weird trade. I think that maybe there's some upside to chase with Devin Lloyd. I kind of like Devin Lloyd. We've seen it enough from him to where it's like I kind of want to chase that a little bit. Those 14 tackle weeks are hard to get off of my mind. But then the Sky Moore stuff is just because I'm a sucker for anybody that Patrick Mahomes throws the ball to. So I don't know. I'd love to hear y'all's take on Josh Allen. I don't love him as much as I used to. I've kind of soured over the years. Kind of been chasing that 2019 11-sack year.
Yeah, you look at pressures. I mean, last year Josh Allen was 9th among all edge rushers and pressures. He's having trouble converting them to sacks.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think that we're going to see Josh Allen's best ball this year. I love where just that organization is right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of juice in that building, dude. And I think Josh Allen, I mean, he's in a contract year.
This is it.
And we know about that contract
You
year
got to
magic.
pull a Chandler Jones, Haason Reddick, go get you a bag, because you're probably going to be on the open market.
He has to know that if he can come out and ball this year, he's got a $80 to $100 million contract waiting for him.
Yep.
So he's gonna be ready this year, I think. And I just like what they have around him. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we talk about Travon Walker, but even like Roy Robertson Harris,
Yeah.
they brought back Dwayne Smoot.
Dwayne Smoot's still there.
I mean, they're fine guys on that rotation.
Good
And
NFL players.
good linebackers,
Yep.
solid secondary. I mean, we know about the offense.
It's a good team.
Calvin Ridley.
And before you talk to us, hopefully Josh Allen has been playing football from behind his whole career. Trevor Lawrence is going to change that this year to
Yes.
where he will have more pass rush opportunities.
I hope so. He took time away from OTAs to focus on his personal growth. So
That was Josh Allen.
that was Josh Allen.
All right. Well, I
Little bit
don't
weird.
care for that.
Yeah, and then you got a story coming out. Jaguars hold no grudges toward Josh Allen for missing the team's organized team activities.
Weird.
Little weird.
Also, I did see were like some hype pieces about what's his face, the edge rush, Chase on.
Yeah,
Kayvon
Chason.
Chason,
Yeah,
stop.
I saw that too.
Saw
Just
some hype
stop.
early on.
Is the
in
fourth or fifth year?
Yeah, is the
year
breakout
for-
finally coming for Caleb? No, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you right
I think
now.
he's
Look
less
right here.
than 1%
It's
roster.
not. It's not. Well, it's funny. You have the next guy on the list here, Addy, at 16 is his running mate, Travon Walker, the number 1 overall pick in last year's draft. Played 788 snaps, 15 games played, 14 started, 8.2 points per game, 49 total tackles. He had 3.5 sacks, 58 overall PFF grade with a pass rush grade of 58.6. Bobby, I think you said on the second year outlook episode, are we too down on Devin Lloyd? Was he that much of a disappointment when you really step back and look at the whole picture? And I think we need to ask the same question about Travon Walker.
Yeah.
Because I personally feel like Travon Walker was exactly as advertised in year 1. You had some flashes of brilliance. We knew, like a newborn giraffe learning to walk, this guy was going to take some time to acclimate to the NFL game. I'm not really interested in Travon as much for 2023. I look at him as one of those guys, 2024, 2025, when this guy really starts to put it together and his athleticism hasn't fallen off yet. That's when you could see the full potential unleashed from this former number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, he's already a freak. I mean, what's
freak.
gonna happen when he puts 3 to 4 years of experience and NFL training rooms on his resume? So I love Travon Walker. He's someone that I think was pretty impressive as far as tackles too. I mean, 49 total tackles. I mean, you'll take that all day for an edge guy. I mean, this is his first year. I think they're going to. He's a versatile piece, so I think they'll be able to use him inside quite a bit. So I don't really expect those tackle numbers to dip. I think that's about the minimum for him. I think you're going to see him always get at least 50 tackles. So that's a nice little floor for him. And then, the sacks are obviously going to go up as he continues to develop, different pass rush moves and just get acclimated to the NFL level.
Bobo, we know you're a big Travon Walker. Do you have Travon Walker in the XFFL?
No, shamefully, I traded him away late last season.
Tisk.
Yeah, I know. You think there's a chance that the Jaguars move Travon inside and then potentially roll out Devin Lloyd a la Haason Reddick?
I think that's why Travon Walker is such a valuable piece. And I think that's why the Jaguars drafted him as early as they did, is because he is versatile and you can do a lot of stuff with him.
Yeah.
You can't do that with Hutchinson or Kayvon. Travon Walker, you can pretty much just line him up anywhere on that line.
I do remember Macri talking about when he was coming out in the draft, like he could not run a stunt to save his life. So I think he still needs a little bit of seasoning on his pass rush moves. So maybe they do kick him inside just to kind of take a little bit off of his plate in terms of like, we're not asking you to go, stunt or spin or try to beat this guy with speed to power or whatever.
But these guys aren't dopes, they're gonna, if they want to be great, they're going to get it figured out. They're going to work with people in the offseason. I mean, we talk about Von Miller's, little camp that he has every offseason. There's that stuff's out there for defensive tackles too. Like, he will get whatever he needs, I think.
I will say that Josh Allen had better perform this year, because if not, the Jaguars are not going to pay him.
No.
They're going to let him go because they foresee a contract coming for Trevor Lawrence in a year or two whenever he's going to need to be paid. So, Devin Lloyd's second best PFF number from last season was his pass rush grade of 62.6. His best grade was a 66.8 in run defense. So I'm just really interested in that Jags defense to see what they do. I don't know. It's just a really fun team to pay attention to.
Do you
right
have the
now.
splits on Travon as far as beginning of the season, end of the season in the old Dynasty ranks?
Or in your head? Just
Yeah,
come on,
just in your
spout it, Addy.
encyclopedic memory. I'm just curious because he had that huge week 1. I remember Sig was talking about on Twitter, let's find a nickname for the Jacksonville defensive line.
While Adam's looking at that, does cap roll over?
Salary cap?
Yes. If you're $30 million, south of the cap in 2023, will that roll over to 2024?
Yeah, I mean, you carry the
Okay.
cap that you have.
But I'm saying, like, if you're saving a cap space of however many million,
Yeah.
you can roll that to next year.
Yeah, absolutely. The cap
Interesting.
goes from one year to the next in terms of what kind of space you have.
I gotcha.
And then you get the additional cap space when they announce what the new salary cap is
But
going
I'm
to
saying
be.
you can't add what you saved the prior year
Oh, no,
to
no,
the
no.
NFL
no.
cap. That's what I'm
It carries
asking.
over from one year to the next, but you don't get to be like, well, we were going
we
to
saved
be
87
that
million
30, we
last
get to
year.
add it on, so now we're 60
We're bringing
below
in
the cap.
Mahomes.
No, it doesn't work like that.
9.1 points per game, weeks 1 through 9, and then 6.8
Ooh, so he got worse as the season went
10
on.
through 18. Yeah.
Okay. So, again, love Travon Walker's outlook for Dynasty for 2023. I'm not interested, but would love to buy him at the end of this season with an eye towards 2024.
I think that's kind of why I'm
Yeah.
more in on him, because I feel like most people are kind of out. I mean, they were out to begin with. You
Yeah.
know, it was oh, this is gonna be a bust as soon as
Yeah.
the pick was made.
Big
you know?
time reach,
Right.
classic Jags.
And it was. I mean, I probably would.
I would
rather
take
have
Aidan
or
Hutchinson.
Kayvon.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, Travon still is good.
Yeah.
He still has things you can't teach as far as build and athleticism.
He would have been a top 5 pick regardless.
Yeah.
If the Jags took him at 1 or not. So it's like, should we be that mad if he had gone 1 versus 4 spots later at 5?
Was that a Peterson pick? Or was that,
Yeah, Doug Peterson and them were in the building. That was last year.
what was his
Yeah.
name?
It was not Suburban Meyer.
Yeah.
It was not Suburban Meyer.
Yeah. He was long gone.
Yeah, that was Doug Peterson's first pick.
Gosh, that's one of my greatest memories of the pod.
So let's talk
I don't
about.
think I've ever laughed so hard.
Let's talk about number 15. Uchenna Nwosu just got paid, Addy. 3 years, $59 million extension for Uchenna Nwosu, who signed a 2-year deal. So this was the second year of the 2-year deal with the Seahawks. They extend this guy, well-earned payday, 26.6 years old. He played 904 snaps last season, 15 games played, 14 started, 14.5 points per game, 9.5 sacks, 66 total tackles, 12 TFLs, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 pass breakups, 26 QB hits, and a 72.6 overall defensive grade with a 72.3 pass rush grade. That is probably one of our best calls of all time, was Uchenna Nwosu going into 2022.
Yeah. Yeah. You think about the IDP show, you should be thinking about guys like Uchenna. That's what we.
Jaelan Phillips.
That's what we're here for. We're here to help you find guys like this. And I mean, I was even a little blown away at how much he balled last year.
DL9, I think, overall.
That's insane. But I mean, he's a perfect fit there for Seattle. And you love what they've brought around him now. Like, it's not just Uchenna there. Like last year, it was mainly just him doing everything.
Absolutely.
But now, they got in. I'm blanking. Who was it? They brought in Dramont Jones.
Yeah, they brought in
obviously.
Dramont
David
Jones.
Ojabo.
No, Ojabo's in Baltimore.
I'm saying the wrong one.
You got it. Come on, dig deep in that brain.
Hold
Papa.
on.
I'm trying to vamp for you. They brought in someone else though.
Oh, Lord.
Did they draft someone too?
Yes.
Well, they got Boye Mafe coming off his second
that's
year.
it.
Oh, Derek Hall.
yes,
Duh.
yes.
Your dude, Derek Hall.
Derek Hall.
That's right.
Yeah. We could read. We might need to redo this segment over.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But that's just Julian Love coming in the secondary. Jamal Adams coming back. They brought in Devon Witherspoon.
yes, Devins Bush is also there.
Bobby Wagner.
He's around.
Yeah. Ever heard of him?
Bobby Wagner's there now too. I mean, yeah, this is a actual good defense and an actual
Tariq
good team.
Woolen.
I mean, they're my
Tariq Woolen,
they're my
Reek.
Reek, yeah.
they're my pick out of the NFC. I said
Shout
on
out Evan.
the pod with
Yeah.
Scott Bogman, I was like, I see the Seahawks as being a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
I think Evan has every sleeper notification that's ever possible. Like, hey, we updated Tariq Woolen's name.
It's Reek.
To Reek.
What's up with that?
I
Is
don't
that what he
know.
actually goes
That's-
by
I mean,
now?
That's pretty big though for his value.
It's pretty awesome.
I did bump him up a little
Adjust
bit.
the
love
ranks.
that.
Sure.
I was watching their little like off-season video about Gino and the coach there from last year, and Tariq Woolen came on there and he was talking about how he doesn't know why he was like so slip on. He was talking about like his athleticism. Then he was like, maybe it was my small hands. I guess he's got like small, like I don't know who's got small hands in the NFL. Drew Brees, he had small hands maybe. But anyways, Tariq Woolen's pretty awesome.
His Trump hands, little baby Trump hands.
Oh gosh.
I love Uchenna Nwosu. I mean, I just took him there at the start of the 4th round. He's probably one of my most rostered players in these best balls. So I absolutely love him. The Seahawks love him. I mean, what's not to like? 26.6 years old.
Yeah.
Kind of sneaky young.
Yeah.
You know, I flip him with Danielle Hunter in my mind where I thought Uchenna was older and Danielle Hunter was younger. But we've got him here at 26.6. I mean, the best is yet to come for Uchenna Nwosu.
Is this a bad look for Brandon Staley?
A little bit.
I mean, I think he was kind of
He did put it together like his last half season there in LA, but I mean, not
But you
to
let him go and bring
Yes.
in Khalil Mack, pay the hell out of Khalil Mack. I guess he was maybe already paid, but still, I mean,
he had a big price tag coming with him.
at this point, I mean, you might rather prefer Uchenna.
Oh
I think,
yeah,
if you're,
26 years old.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they're
and Khalil
kicking
Mack
themselves.
has kind of not been, I think, what they had hoped.
I like Uchenna.
And then you
Seattle
take
better.
Kenneth Murray, and he's a total washout. I don't think Staley drafted Murray, but
No,
to
he
not
was prior.
be able to turn him into anything.
Who was Anthony Lynn? That's who picked him.
Yep.
Interesting.
So you had to go get Eric Kendricks and Deion Henley to help shore
Kyle
up that
Van Noy
disaster.
last year. They
Yeah.
just really pieced together a season. I'm hoping they don't do the same with like Eric Kendricks and everybody.
Kind of surprised they didn't fire him after that
Yeah.
collapse in the playoffs. I
especially
thought
with Cliff.
that
It
was the death knell.
An awful loss in the playoffs.
Awful
man.
loss.
Jeez.
Really game. You had Dungy and Al Michaels like just lifeless on the broadcast. I'm watching it in a Vegas hotel room because Allie's passed out because she's like 5 months pregnant at that point.
Sure.
So it was a very
She was hammered.
She was absolutely trashed. We've been down at the pool all day. But yeah, Uchenna
Baby's
Nwosu.
fine, folks.
Yeah, everyone don't call Child Protective Services. The child is fine. Let's talk about number 14, though. We just talked about him a little bit ago. Tyree Wilson, Las Vegas Raiders. Addie, I think you may be driving the hype train for Tyree Wilson because I haven't talked to a lot of people
I ain't
who
letting
are.
Adam touch.
Yeah, you
my
don't need to
train.
touch nothing, automotive wise. But you're behind the wheel of the train. The wheel of the train, the sticks of the train.
There's no wheel, Josh. You're on the rails. Straight line.
So it's very easy for Adam to drive in any state. But Tyree Wilson, Addie, why do you have him here at 14? I think a lot of people, streets may be saying it's a little high.
Yeah, I don't think people would like this, but I mean,
Haters going to be mad.
Sure, but the upside. I mean, it's just there's not many people that are built like Mr. Tyree Wilson. And he got the draft capital. I mean, he's in a great situation. He gets to learn from Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. But let's look at the measurables real quick. 6'5.5", 271, 35-inch arms. That's all the testing we got. He didn't do any more testing, but I mean, he was someone that didn't have to do the testing.
Yeah, he didn't need to.
He was
He's like,
hurt.
I'm good.
He was banged up, but anyway, he did not have to do the testing. It was same thing with Will Anderson. Everyone kind of knows what to expect out of this guy. The comps you were seeing thrown around most were him to Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's been weighing heavy on my mind. If you have a guy that
Like Buc-ee's.
right,
I haven't
like
stopped
them
thinking.
Buc-ee Nuggets
Yeah, I haven't stopped thinking about it.
and that breeder.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you have someone that has that type of potential, and also
You get to play next to Max Crosby, for God's sake. Like, that's amazing.
who Max Crosby is like, I feel like mentor wise, like that's got to be one of the best situations to land in. You got a
Yep.
guy that's actually like a dog himself and
Yep.
super real, keeps it 100 all the time. But he's had a crazy past himself.
Yep.
You know, he's actually lived life and has like real life experience. So I mean, Tyree Wilson to get to go to that situation and play alongside that guy, I just love it.
And Chandler Jones. I mean, let's not
And Chandler Jones.
let's not
I mean,
write this guy off
yeah.
because he was a bum last year.
Chandler
the
Jones.
dude is probably going to be on the ballot for Hall of Fame consideration.
They said that he's slimmed up. He's someone that I don't mind taking these best balls at all.
No, dual
I mean,
Desi, thank you very
sure,
much.
Yeah, like you can get him in like the 13th, 14th round. but yeah, don't be surprised if you see Chandler Jones pop off for another 10+ sack season. So it's just a good situation. Also, Chandler Jones, his brother's Bone Jones,
Yeah,
or
Bomani Jones.
struggling with names tonight.
John Bones Jones.
Yes,
The UFC fighter.
yes. So I mean,
I knew it was Bones, but I did not know that first name.
Sorry.
that's a plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Tyree Wilson, wheels up, extremely high ceiling. I mean, there's a real chance that we could, be arguing about who's better. Who do you want more, Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson this time next year?
How does it make you feel, Bobo, if the Raiders, I think they're going to be bad.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Does it worry you at all? I guess not for Dynasty, but for redraft purposes, taking edge rushers from really bad teams?
Well, I mean, we just got done talking about Josh Allen and how the Jaguars have been bad for multiple years. Blaine Gabbert, the guy I loved forever, the quarterback there, Blake Bortles, just a bunch of bad seasons. So, yes, I think it will affect your upside as a pass rusher from like a sack potential. But I don't know. I'm not so sold that the Raiders are going to be that bad this year. I don't believe in McDaniels, but Jimmy G's okay. I think Josh Jacobs probably won't hold out. I think he will probably end up playing football this year.
They just feel like the 2022 Cardinals to me. I'm seeing like 5-12 and everybody gets fired.
Maybe, but I don't know. You're still going to get to play ball with Max Crosby, and it doesn't matter if you're down or up. Max Crosby's still going to be able to get to the quarterback. Here's another hot take thing, and we'll talk about Max Crosby later, but would y'all take Max Crosby at 101 in these best balls over Micah?
Absolutely.
I love that, right?
Yep.
I don't.
Any of those top 5 guys,
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
fine
care.
with
I'm
at one.
fine.
The amount.
I don't really want the 101. I
Yeah.
want the 105.
How
105,
little
yep.
Max Crosby comes off the field is what appeals to me the most about him.
Yeah.
Volume
That
monster.
dude is playing. But
And
yeah,
it's been that way for 2 years. He's been a volume monster.
Josh, is Tyree Wilson the guy that stood up behind Peter Schrager at the
Yes,
draft?
that was him.
And just dwarfed
He's a
him?
monster.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
huge.
If it all comes together for Tyree Wilson, this is a top 5 edge.
the healthy thing,
Absolutely.
the healthy thing too about Tyree Wilson in a lot of our rookie drafts is like he's a 3rd, 4th round pick.
We want to help you get in on these guys early. Like
Yeah.
Adam was saying, we want to be ahead of the curve. And the
Man.
good news is you don't have to pay a lot for a Tyree Wilson. I mean, a 3rd round rookie pick.
No, yeah. The point of my ranks, and I want you to go into your startups and not overspend on IDPs.
Yeah.
Wait, and then get the guys that fall or are still there. Like that's the way this stuff works. You don't ever want to spend top dollar, top capital for these IDPs. You wait and you get this value.
But here's the other thing too that I'm thinking about, like in terms of these mocks, is like everybody wants that one. I'm trying to think of like Antonio Gibson, his first season in, he was a 4th round draft pick in our rookie draft. Everybody wants that running back production that you just pull out of the 4th round. But really, I think historically, if you look back, you almost need to trust the NFL and just go with, okay, who are the first rounders taken, whether offense or defense? Because more often than not, these Josh Downs are going to be forgotten, but the Tyree Wilsons are going to have a 10-year career.
I got so much Tyree Wilson in the 3rd round this year. That's a guy that was drafted 7th overall in the NFL draft. I'm getting him as like the 24th to 36th player.
Myles
that's
Murray,
insane.
Crazy.
George Karlaftis,
That's
Travon
silly.
Walker.
I mean, if you're in a league that has sense about it and your scoring is proper and your edge guys are scoring the way they should be, I mean, Tyree Wilson, you should probably, if he lives up to his hype,
He should be an early 2nd round.
He should be an early 2nd round pick.
Yeah, I don't think he should be a 1st,
Right.
but I think he should be in that 201 to 203 range. I really do.
Yeah.
Because, again, athletic freak, opposite Max Crosby. If you want to take him in a rookie draft and then pair him with like a Chandler Jones and you've got that kind of all your bases covered opposite Max Crosby,
Dynasty,
that sounds great.
your middle of the road team. You trading Danielle Hunter for Tyree Wilson?
Yep.
Yes, I would. Yes,
Yeah.
I would.
Yep. What else? I mean,
I'd have to
player
think
for
on that.
player wise, I mean, what else?
I
are
think
you gonna
that's
get
actually a great comp, Tyree Wilson to Danielle
Yeah,
Hunter.
so too.
size-wise.
Yeah. Player for player wise, I mean, who else are you getting with that much upside?
That's true.
Like I'm trying to think of like a linebacker, like Danielle Hunter for Ernest Jones.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
true.
sure, you're probably going to work out in Ernest's favor, but like, how long is Ernest going to be?
Good point.
Have that
That's a good point.
stability.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know.
Like Tyree Wilson, if Tyree Wilson hits, dude, you have a 10-year asset.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I feel like we're talking out of both sides of my mouth. At least I am, because we said, would you rather have the Tyree Wilson who could become Danielle Hunter when you can just have Danielle Hunter? But I think it's context
In that situation. But it also in the same, like, I'm not going to trade away Tyree Wilson I'll figure out another way to do that deal. You're not going to do that. You're not going to trade away Tyree Wilson for Danielle Hunter.
Yeah.
Like, that's not happening.
A lot of times, too, you see these reclamation projects like Marcus Davenport, to where he was a first rounder and he's shown potential and he's also had some down years. But you see these other teams come back around and be like, I think maybe we can still pull some value out of that.
Yeah.
Trust the NFL draft. Trust the NFL scouts. I don't know. Don't get cute.
Trust the IDP show. Hey, and if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, trust your edge rushers. TJ Watt got paid, I think, last offseason maybe.
Yeah.
And now Alex Highsmith gets paid as well. 4-year, $68 million deal for Mr. Highsmith here at number 13.
I love his sack yards the most. He had 14 and a half sacks on the season. He dropped them back 118 sack yards.
He was taking them and throwing them like a paper airplane back about 5 to 6 yards each time. But yeah, 88% of snaps, 941 snaps, 17 games played, 14.7 points per game, 63 total tackles, 12 TFLs, 14 and a half sacks, 118 sack yards, like Bobo mentioned, 5 forced fumbles, 1 pass breakup, 20 QB hits, 78 overall defensive PFF grade, 70.7 pass rush grade, and a 73.3 run defense grade. Eddie, you mentioned the tackle floor for Alex Highsmith. That's what makes him a great asset. And if you don't want to pay the TJ Watt sticker price, go scoop Alex Highsmith. I think you're going to get 85 to 90% of that production.
Yep. Yeah, 63 tackles last year, 74 in 2021, 48 in 2020 when he wasn't getting nearly, the snaps he is now. But yeah, I mean, everything is improved for Alex Highsmith every single year. I mean, the points per game, 14.7 last year. That was up from 11.9, which is still solid in 2021. It was 6.1 in 2020. Yeah, PFF grade was up too, 78 in 2022, 67.2 in 21. So just continuing to get better every single year. The guy is 26. He's in a great situation, like we've been mentioning tonight. Like, that guy might have the best situation out of anybody.
Truly.
You got TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, like 2 Hall of Famers.
Yep.
Defenses just can't key in on you. So he's going to have a lot of one-on-ones. He's going to be the third banana pretty much, and that's a guy that would be an edge one for most teams. So just a great situation there for Alex Highsmith.
And Josh literally just spelled out a great way to start a best ball draft. If you don't want to go TJ Watt and you wanted to go Bosa, Crosby, Roquan, Garrett, whoever, right now TJ Watt has the ADP 4th overall, edge 3, while Alex Highsmith is at 21.7, and then he has the edge 13 ADP right now. So if you want to kind of leave TJ Watt alone, because honestly, TJ Watt has been a little bit
He's
injured.
a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, you hope to God he stays healthy.
Yep.
He's got a higher ceiling than probably just about anyone with those boom games, but you're going to get the floor as well. And the floor is 0 because he's missing games because he pulled a groin or popped a hammy.
But that's a filthy start in a best ball if you jump in and grab a Bosa in the first, Highsmith at the back end of the second.
And if some of these linebackers go early, like we saw in this best ball that I was just in, Highsmith is an end of the second round pick most of the time by ADP, but I just got him there at the end of the third because some of these linebackers and even some DBs were jumping up there. So every draft is different, but if you can grab Alex Highsmith, especially in the third, I love that.
Yeah,
one of my favorite targets.
Highsmith and Cam Hayward both just great values.
Oh, Hayward might be the best value.
He might be. I mean,
in
that
best
truly
ball.
is discounting Aaron Donald right there.
Yes, his whole career, you might say.
Sure.
So I don't know if there's anything else to say here about Alex Highsmith, but let's transition into the top 12, gentlemen. And these are going to be a lot of that guy is good players. I think the interesting part here is how Adam has them laid out, because we're getting into the depths of that beautiful brain. And we're starting off with Joey Bosa, the Los Angeles Chargers, 28.1 years old, 5-year, $135 million deal. He signed UFA 2026, potential out in 2024. He played 165 snaps in 2022, 5 games played, 4 games started, 10.3 points per game. I think my feelings on Joey Bosa are pretty well known. I'm not super interested in Bosa because I think like a Shaq Leonard, like a Jamal Adams, he is one of those players, at least in my mind, who deserves the injury-prone label because it's a myriad of injuries across different seasons. I think when I ran the stats last, he had missed like 25 to 30% of the games in his career so far. Like I think he played 75% of the games. So that's not great. And I don't want the headache, but there's no denying this dude is a top-tier NFL edge rusher.
Yeah, I mean, he's elite. It is just the health at this point. And we've seen the points per game. I mean, it's just declined for the last 3 years. In 2020, he was averaging 16 points per game. In 21, it was 12.4. And then last year, it was 10.3. So
is he the defensive end equivalent of Shaq Leonard?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like that. But, I mean,
he's playing football.
Yes. And
sometimes. 5 games last year, y'all.
How many Shaq play?
Here's the thing, though. Yeah,
2, 3.
And I think, like, did he even play that many?
Well, he broke his nose in one of them. So
like the first quarter.
Yeah. So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Joey Bosa, if he stays healthy, though, that's the thing with Bosa. If Bosa does stay healthy, and we can get and I know that seems like a big if at this point, but if it happens, the value is immediately restored. Everyone loves Joey Bosa. Like, everyone knows this dude is although he did have a bad look last year with the
Ohio State game.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Yeah,
but his brother's Nick Bosa, who's MAGA.
Yeah.
So
drinking
he was like a strawberry something.
Yeah, with his Letterman jacket on, right?
Yeah.
So not the best looks as of late for Joey Bosa. I will admit that, but he still is just 28.1. He is still elite when he's out there. I'm just banking on that injury luck is going to turn around. I think that this is someone that everyone's sick of him at this point. So I think that's a good time to go acquire somebody.
Yeah, Bosa is going as the Edge 11, the DL 12 overall right now.
Everyone's still
pretty savvy.
not that sick of him.
They like him.
I'm sick of him, and I think there is a lot of people, but there's also, it's kind of a tale of two managers where it's like, I'm sick of Joey Bosa, get this dude out of here.
Yeah.
Or it's like, Joey Bosa's still great, and if the injury luck
it's one of those deals,
dichotomy.
You can talk yourself into it. He's one of those players.
I think if more people were in that middle of just like, no, I'd rather go somewhere else, he'd probably be lower. Probably be like DL 18 or so.
He's one of those guys, like, if he's sitting there in the third round, you're like, I'm not going to let Joey Bosa.
Yes.
Like,
that's who I was looking to take at the end of the third. I was like, well, Joey Bosa, I'm not a huge
you were off
fan.
of Joey Bosa.
But like dual designation.
Quit lying to the fans.
I mean, he's got
talking all over the place tonight.
He's got a middle of the second round ADP. So at the end of the third, I'm like, oh, give me Joey Bosa.
Yeah,
but he was not there, so I did not take him.
Man,
but still, you're in on him in the third round. So I mean, that's still like that's still a nice little asset.
Yeah, that'd be like the 35th overall pick.
Yeah.
So
no thanks.
Yeah.
But another one of these guys that he can play into his mid-30s. He's that type.
Great athlete as well.
If he can just get the health stuff in order, I think we could see a nice second half of Joey Bosa's career.
But like we talked about before with these guys who are injury prone, do you really enjoy rostering Joey Bosa? Because you're just waiting for that grenade to go off.
It just depends on
every week.
It just depends on what I had to acquire him for.
Yes, that is true. What'd you pay
if
for
I
him?
can acquire him now for a third, I don't give a
Oh
shit.
yeah, that's great.
I hope you can help me. If not, that's okay.
Yeah, we'll just put you on the bench, Joey. You wear your Letterman jacket and drink
deal.
your strawberries.
No big deal. So
on the bench.
And that, this is the lowest his value has ever been.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
I think that is the time that you want to be looking.
Look,
to acquire.
I'm not saying that that my kind of outlook on this guy is correct. Adam is more directionally where you need to be in that this is a good buy window, because if the health does come together, then he's going to be outstanding. He's going to be probably a top 6 or 7 edge rusher for IDP. But I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of the constant injury headache. I don't want to hold my breath every game hoping he doesn't injure some part of his body and he's out 3 or 4 games. So
that's fair. I mean,
it just depends on what kind of tolerance you have.
Jamal Adams, Shaq Leonard, like those are the same type guys,
Yep.
But Joey Bosa, I think
he's better than those guys.
Yeah, he's better than them, and it would be worth it, I think.
Yes,
for that.
The payoff would be worth it. Yeah. That is what I will say. I would not mind taking that ride in the right context because the payoff is potentially huge.
Right.
Sure.
Bobo's totally out.
Yeah, I don't like Bosa.
All right, well, let's talk about Haason Reddick here at number 11. He is 28.9 years old, 3-year, $45 million deal.
Kind of surprising. 29.
I know. He is a lot older than what
Yeah.
I thought. So 74% of snaps, 817 snaps, 17 games played, 16.1 points per game. My God. Haason Reddick, we thought, man, okay, last season in Arizona, okay, we got something now. One season in Carolina, okay, we got something. First season in Philadelphia, it's just been this continual exceeding of expectations the last few years for Haason Reddick. And if we have optimism for Josh Sweat, I don't know why we would not have that same optimism in the same context for Haason Reddick. The age, yeah, he is older than what you would think, but I don't think he's at that age yet where it's like, he's probably gotten a little too old. They did draft, I think, his replacement in Nolan Smith.
Yeah.
But at least for 2023 and probably 2024, Haason Reddick, I think, is going to eat.
Yeah. Looking at the 3-year averages, over the last 3 years, he's averaged 60 tackles per season and 13 sacks per season.
Wow.
So, I mean,
That has to be one of the
that's-
highest 3-year averages for sacks.
Let me tell you where that is on sacks.
That's got to be top 5, maybe?
Yeah, definitely.
And he's continually underrated, disrespected.
So the best 3-year sack average is Myles Garrett with 14.7. You have TJ Watt with 14.3 being propped up by that 22.5 in 2021. And then Micah Parsons at 13.3 in just 2 years. And then fourth in the league, Haason Reddick.
There you go.
13.2 sacks over the last 3 years.
There you go, Bobo. What, you don't like Joey Bosa? What's your temperature on Haason Reddick?
I love Reddick. I'm just sitting here trying to think about what I want to do with Reddick in Dynasty. You know, I'm trying to think about, is he the type of guy that I'm going to hold on to, or is he the type of guy that's a good sell right now? I think he's more talented than Josh Sweat is for that defense there in Philly. I do feel like his replacement is probably going to be Nolan Smith. Like, I don't know what the Eagles' money looks like cap-wise for the next couple years. Have they paid Hurts yet?
Yes, they just did.
Okay. So I don't know if they're going to be tight on cap over the next couple years, or where they're going to have to let a guy like Reddick go.
They'll let Reddick go.
You probably
The Eagles do this. They draft the replacement a few years before they need him.
So we're probably at peak Reddick right now.
Yes.
This next season,
Because I don't know that he goes out and gets a big bag at 29 years old. Maybe he gets a Von Miller type deal. I don't know, Mo. I don't know.
Coming off of a 16-sack year, we just talked about how many sacks he's had over the last 3 years. There will be an NFL franchise that will want to bring this guy in.
Yep.
I don't know that he will get, like you said, like the Von Miller money, but
Shit, maybe.
maybe he will.
I mean, if he goes out and puts up 15 sacks again this year, he's probably getting like a 2 to 3, year deal at about $20+ million a year, I would say.
Maybe there's a world where the Eagles keep him and let Josh Sweat go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's possible as well. I'm not going to try to act like I know what Howie Roseman's doing at all. But no, Reddick is a guy that I've had on a bunch of rosters over the last couple of years, and it has been way more fun than Joey Bosa. Bosa, I just had that year where he had his foot thing, and it was just so frustrating because it was like a weekly thing. Like, is he healthy? Is he healthy? I did it the whole year, didn't I IR him? And after that, I was kind of snake bit. I was like, I'm not dealing with this guy anymore.
Well, and that stat right there tells me that if you want safety in your first round draft pick in these best ball drafts, there is maybe no better target than Haason Reddick.
Yeah.
Because you look at the 3-year sample size is great because it's like we're not just banking on like a big spike year the previous year and chasing the sacks from one year to the next. This dude has been top 4 in the league for 3 straight years.
Could y'all see a world where in best ball you take Reddick over Foye, Roquan?
Yes,
Sure.
absolutely.
Depending on how you want to build your team, yeah. I think if you...
I'm not taking a linebacker in the first round. That's just me personally.
I'll take one of those two. I'll take Foye or Roquan, but
So-
typically I'm hoping they fall to like, the 109 to 112.
Yep.
In our draft, it went exactly like that. It went the big 5, Foye, Roquan, Bolton, Haason Reddick. I'm taking Haason Reddick over Nick Bolton.
Yeah, Bolton does not belong in the first round, in my opinion.
I'm taking Roquan over Foye in this setup just because I like Roquan's sack upside. But then after Roquan, I'm okay taking Haason Reddick at that point.
Yep.
really savvy. Honestly, it might look like a little bit of a reach, but we're just talking about a guy that had 16.5 sacks last year, and nothing's really changed.
Well, and the tackles are solid
Yeah,
too. I mean,
yeah.
49 tackles last year, 66 and 21. No, sorry, 68 and 21, and then 63 in 2020. So
Yep.
I mean,
Great floor.
a minimum of 50 tackles. I think you can feel good for.
His tackle and coverage grade are hilarious compared to his overall defensive grade. A 29.4
I know.
tackle grade and a 46 grade in
He's a
coverage.
bad tackler. Don't ask him.
Yeah.
And they tried to play him
They
at
probably use
off-ball
him in coverage
linebacker.
like 2 or 3 plays or something.
Remember his
Yeah.
start in Arizona, they tried to make him an off-ball linebacker. And it was
Yeah.
like, wait, what if we put him on the end of the defensive
Have we heard
line?
anything lately about Arizona like misusing players in the last
No.
couple of years?
That's a
No.
great spot.
This is a new
A
thing.
lot
to
of good
me.
utilization there
Yeah.
from all the coaching staffs.
Let me talk about the next one, Josh.
Yeah, please.
TJ Watt, 28.8 years old, 4 years, $112 million deal. He's a UFA in 2026. His 2022 stats. Words are hard. He played 502 snaps. I'm thinking of a snack. I was thinking about what I was going to eat
Bobby's hungry.
before I go to bed. Probably like some Cheerios, like Honey Nut Cheerios maybe. I don't like just the bland Cheerios at night. I got to have like
No, a little bit of
just a
flavor.
little sugar.
Cheerios are great. They're like the Lay's chips right now. You got all sorts of Cheerio flavors.
Oh, yeah. Chip, I'll give you a little.
We're back into cereal with packs now. You said
yeah.
that would come back around, and it has.
Oh,
yeah.
cereal's
I,
the best.
I gotta be
Glorious.
careful.
TJ Watt, 3% of snaps last year in the games that he played.
That's
He
right.
played 10 games. He started all 10, which is surprising. I don't know why you'd start him in 10 games. 15.8 points per game, 39 total tackles, 8 TFLs, 2 INTs, 5.5 sacks. His PFF grades are great.
A lot of blue, green, a lot of green. Look, TJ Watt is a phenomenal football player. He was the defensive player of the year, 22.5 sacks. Like Adam said, he's just hurt a lot. So you know if you're signing up for the TJ Watt experience, it's going to be a roller coaster, and you're going to be very, very frustrated rostering TJ Watt. Also very elated, but a lot of the other times throughout the season, very pissed because he's letting you down in your matchups by not playing.
Yeah, you're going to have that, that thing in the back of your head where you're always worried about when's this thing going to stop being fun.
Yep.
And, I mean, the last few years, it's a real thing with TJ Watt. And we know about his brother, too. His brother dealt with injuries. So, I mean, there's those Watt boys just got them brittle bones.
You've said it before. Brittle bone Watt boys.
Yes, sir.
6,000% pain.
Yeah, that was an all-timer right
That
there.
was great.
I think about it every time I think about JJ Watt.
But Watt's awesome. I mean, this could be a little low, maybe. I mean, if he was able to, if you told me that Watt was going to stay healthy for another 4 years, and not miss a game,
He's top 3.
he's top 3, right? He's up there. But there's just that injury risk. I mean, he's going to be 29. So, I mean,
He is older.
and it's as you
One
get
of the
older,
oldest guys on these lists, right? On this
Yeah.
list.
Also, why did JJ retire? He was playing so well last year.
he played amazing last year.
I think you just wanted to go out not being bad.
I get it. I get the money. I get the age and everything.
Yeah, he's
but
like
dang,
made hundreds of millions in his
it
career.
was a great season for him last
know.
year.
I feel like he could be someone that maybe comes back at some point.
Yeah,
like a Gronk.
to the Texans.
That'd be kind of interesting.
That would be kind of cool.
Okay, so we know we
He's
can.
the heart of Texas.
Yes, sir.
After Buc-ee's.
That's right. I mean, he did
You
raise
know-
like $38 million for Hurricane Harvey
Yeah,
relief.
he
So
did.
that dude is a legend.
38 million is a lot of money.
It's a lot.
Buc-ee started off as like a really small store. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Was
Like
it a mom
was-
and pop?
Yeah, it was a mom and pop.
Hmm.
And now they're putting all these mom and pops out.
We've circled it back around. To
You
the mom
will
and
not
pop.
see me in a Buc-ee's. Never.
They will not miss you. Trust me. They got about
He's gonna love it.
10,000 people a day in
He's
that
gonna love
store.
it. We're all going.
Driving
We're
to
going to
Smith
stream
Grove
it. We're
every
doing
day.
it.
We've already said we have family in Smiths Grove. We do Christmas up there. We're all just going to take our money,
Yeah.
go to Buc-ee's, buy presents for each other at Buc-ee's, and then come
Josh.
back and do the gift swap.
Yes,
You're
sir.
killing the mom and pops.
Yep, the
Best
mom
Christmas
and
of all
pops
time,
will be
brother.
right in there with me buying presents, elbow to elbow with me
Yeah,
Josh
we
is-
take our dog to the vet in Smiths Grove, bro. I'm be taking him every week.
every week. Let's get him checked up.
Buddy, you
Let's get him
sick?
checked up.
Get in the
check-
car.
Get the rectal thermometer out.
Breast stinks.
Yeah, this is
Open him up.
Open him up. Crack his ribs open. Got a bad heart. That dog got a bad heart. Oh, boy. You can tell we haven't potted in a long time, folks. A lot of pent-up sexual energy coming out right now.
I guarantee you Josh has got the Buc-ee onesie.
Oh, yeah. Paxton loves it. It's
Yeah,
his
you
favorite
guys
pair of
have some.
PJs.
You guys are all in, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. He sung in those PJs at the Christmas production at his school, y'all. Every time we do a fresh batch of laundry, which PJs you want to wear, Buc-ee's? That's the first choice.
sir.
It's the 101 of PJs.
Oh my gosh.
Very hard to put on. Do not like putting those PJs on. Kind of wish we didn't have
I
them.
know you do.
I don't have it.
You got one stored away.
Sounds like
there.
you just need a bigger size.
That's right. I would wear them if I had them. We even have the Buc-ee swim trunks. They look amazing.
I know.
What in the world?
So good.
I feel like I'm missing
just wait,
out on
Bobo.
like.
They got
Just
everything.
wait.
They got everything, brother.
Oh my gosh.
So, speaking of Texas and speaking of the Texans, Will Anderson is number 9 on the list. 21.9 years old. He is a rookie coming in. Number 3 overall pick. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yep.
Was he 2 or 3?
Yeah, 3.
Okay, because it went the 2
Bryce Young,
quarterbacks.
C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was Young, Stroud, and then the Texans came back up to 3 to get Will Anderson. Addy, I just have, there's certain quotes I like log away throughout the offseason in my head. And one of the ones that you said, and I've mentioned it many times on this podcast, what if we look up week 6 and we say, oh my God, that's Micah Parsons. So that is what is in the back of my mind with Will Anderson. I mean, we've talked about him ad nauseum on the rookie draft shows, the recap, the landing spots, all that. Go back and listen if you want our kind of in-the-moment analysis. Nothing has really changed for me on Will Anderson. I think there is some decent talent on that defensive line with Jonathan Grenard. You took him in Madness.
Yep.
So I think we are looking at the next generational edge rusher in the likes of J.J. Watt there with Will Anderson.
Yeah, they're going to play the hell out of this dude.
Yeah.
They're going to see what he's all about. I mean, I'd expect like a 800 to 900 snap.
What Aidan Hutchinson did last
Yeah.
year, that's what I expect for Will Anderson.
Yep. And
As far as snap count.
Aidan
Yeah.
Hutchinson, 958 snaps last year.
Yep.
yeah,
900 plus, I think, for Will
could
Anderson.
easily see that, I think. And yeah, I think you could see like a 10 sack type of debut from Will Anderson. But just the box checker. I mean, great size, 6'3", 253, 34-inch arms, 4'6", 40. That's all the testing we got, but we didn't need any of the testing. The college production was prolific, like some of the best college production you'll see, and it happened at an early age in his college career. So, yeah, when we've talked about Will Anderson so much. I mean, he's already worth a first.
Yes.
I mean, he's a top 10 pick. He's a top 10 edge guy, right? I mean, what is this, edge 9?
Edge 9. I think he is the guy that if I had to say with confidence which player outside the top 5 do I think will be in the top 5 when we do this episode next year,
Yeah.
I think it is Will Anderson.
He's
Yeah.
the type of
I really
guy,
do.
He's the type of guy that's going to lead that franchise in like jersey sales.
Yep.
You know, Stroud's cool, but aside from Stroud, they really don't have a whole lot of talent
No.
there. You're
It'll be
right.
Will Anderson and
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud.
Will Anderson. Yeah. Wow. It's going to be fun. You know, and even
Rookie of the year next year?
oh, yeah.
Defensive Rookie of the Year? I think so. I really do.
I do think that a lot of these cornerbacks, from a rookie perspective, have been pretty good the last
That's
couple
true.
of
You
years.
never
They
know.
do love edge rushers, especially the high sack guys.
I really like the guy. Shout out one of
Yeah, if
the
you get 10 sacks,
It's over. It's a
yeah.
lock.
one of the all-22 guys talked up Emmanuel Forbes coming in. I like Forbes. I like Witherspoon. There's another good corner as well.
There was like 5 or 6 first
Yeah.
round
Well,
corners.
The Christian Gonzalez,
Yeah.
New England has
Yep.
gotten really good reviews so far.
I was going to say something. Oh, even the Devy guys. I mean, Will Anderson is just a guy that we've talked about for so many years. I mean, I drafted him in a Devy draft in 2021 just because he was kind of the talk of Alabama at the time. Like, here comes this generational, outside linebacker, and I hope that that's the case. I really think it will be.
I think so.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 7 and 8 here together because we just talked up these guys on the second year Outlook show. It's Kayvon Thibodeaux at number 8, New York Giants. Aidan Hutchinson, number 7, Detroit Lions. Again, go back and listen to that episode if you want the full breakdown on these guys. Addy, I'm curious. I know you love you some Kayvon Thibodeaux, but you've got Aidan Hutchinson one spot ahead. You're splitting hairs here. But what kept you from putting Kayvon at 7 and Aidan at 8?
They're both awesome. I mean,
We saw a little more from Hutch in year one.
We did see, better production, 12.1 points per game versus 11 points per game for Kayvon. The PFF grades were also better for Hutchinson, 80.7 versus a 71.9. Also, we know about the character type stuff. Kayvon
He is a character.
He's a character.
That's
He can be a little eccentric, whereas Aidan Hutchinson is like one of these like J.J. Watt types.
Yes.
You know, like
That
maybe a
is
little too serious.
Yes.
Maybe you could chill out a little bit, bro.
Yes.
But I mean, overall, I think that's what you really want in your building. Somebody like Aidan Hutchinson. Obviously, you want Kayvon as well, but if you have to nitpick, that would be like the only nitpick. But I mean, I think Kayvon has maybe a higher upside than Aidan.
Mm-hmm.
Aidan's just a little more safer.
He's solid. Yeah, he feels a little safer.
But I mean, I want both of them. I love both. I think
these guys.
Kayvon is maybe a little easier to acquire. Aidan Hutchinson, people are not going to want to let that dude go.
Yeah.
No, I don't think people are as high on Kayvon Thibodeaux yet. And we were having this talk on the second year Outlook show of I think this New York Giants defensive line could be one of the best in the NFL. But then I got to thinking about every single defensive line in the NFC East is filthy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because look at the Giants. You have Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Azeez Ojulari, Kayvon Thibodeaux. That's gross. You look at Washington. We just talked about it. Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, Chase Young. That's gross. You look at Philadelphia.
Yep.
All those defensive tackles, Josh Sweat and Haason Reddick with Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, Milton Williams, Jordan Davis. I mean, just an embarrassment of riches in Philadelphia. And then even Dallas, you have arguably the best defensive lineman in the game with Micah Parsons. You have DeMarcus Lawrence. Those interior guys there as well.
You're right, man. There's so many, and I had this thought today too when some of these drafts. We're like in like the 10th, 11th round in mine, and like it's just so loaded with talent still.
Yes.
Like, how can you not play IDP?
Right? It's crazy.
It's not even hard.
Yeah.
Like there is so much damn talent. Like it is crazy the amount of good players that are going to be available this entire draft. Like this going to be this 24 rounds deep, easy.
Yeah.
Like it'll be no sweat for me to draft 24 of these guys. But yeah, it just wild to me.
Well, and I wanted to finish giving Dallas their flowers here. So Sam Williams, you have Dorrance Armstrong, Mozzie Smith, they just drafted in the first round,
Yeah.
Jonathan Hankins, Neville Gallimore, Osei Odigizua.
There
Dante
you go.
Fowler, did you say him?
So, yeah, Dante Fowler is there as well. So, I mean,
I like Sam Williams a lot this year.
which of those defensive lines would you put number one? I mean, it's filthy.
It's tough.
Absolutely crazy division for defensive lines. But the point I was making there was
Philly.
I think
They have the
that
most depth.
I think I'd maybe put, man, for me, it's Washington or New York because, I mean, 1 through 4.
Washington let us down too much last year.
Yeah.
honestly.
And it's like
The defensive tackles were the
New
best.
York. New York is filthy,
Yeah.
New York is dirty. Yeah. New York's
but
dirty.
Philly is probably it.
My point was Philly was the defensive line last year that you profited from. You had 4 guys with double-digit sacks.
Yeah,
Could
yeah.
that be New York in 2023?
Yeah, it could be.
Could we see 3-4 guys pop off for double-digit sacks?
Yeah.
I think you could.
Leonard
So-
Williams is the most slept on in that group, man.
Yeah.
And he's amazing.
They talked about him on the Bounce Back pod with Macri and Tripp. I mean, I'm in there as well. I mean, when you're talking about an amazing player like Leonard Williams as the 4th guy on
Yep.
your defensive line,
That's good
that's
stuff.
pretty sick.
Can't wait to watch Darian Beavers play behind them.
That's right. You guys, you and Jake got a little bet going on. The weirdest, most
That's
obscure inside baseball bet of all time.
Speaking of Beavers, Buc-ee's!
That's right. Let's talk about them. Buc-ee Bites. Eddie, I am going to give you the solo cam here before it dies for number 6 because it is the player that I probably associate most closely with you. Who's the next guy on the list?
It is our baby, my baby.
Your
I
baby.
think it's a show baby.
It is a show baby,
Sure,
but it's
sure.
you're the main. You're listed first on the birth certificate.
Jaelan Phillips. Hold on, guy. I wouldn't caught up with.
He's
the
number
dog.
6, Miami Dolphins edge rusher, number 1 in your hearts.
Yes, 24.2 years of age. He did not sign that. He's on his rookie deal still. 840 snaps in 2022, 73% snap share. 17 games played. He averaged 11.5 points per game, 60 total tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 38 sack yards, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recovery, 1 punt block, 2 pass breakups, 25 QB hits.
Like 8 abs.
Yeah, the guy's just built like a Greek god. 88.8 overall PFF grade last year, 90.1 pass rush grade. And I got some other little Jaelan Phillips.
Oh, give us some more Jaelan Phillips nuggies.
I mean, really good in the run game as well as the pass. 90.1 pass rush grade, like I mentioned, that was 5th best among edge rushers. 75.1 run defense grade, that was ranked 18th. He had a 17.6% win rate. That was tied for 12th among all edge rushers. He finished 6th in pressures with 70. So, I mean, guy was just balling out. If you're looking for this year's Max Crosby, I mean, Jaelan Phillips is the obvious candidate. Just a guy that really good at getting pressures, but has not really converted those to sacks. But we know how quickly that changes. So yeah, Jaelan Phillips, I think that we're going to see his first 10+ sack season. I love his situation. I mean, God, Bradley Chubb, Christian Wilkins, you got Emmanuel Ogbah that can come in.
Zach Sealer's there. Got those linebackers. Great secondary.
Secondary is amazing, at corner at least. And then Vic Fangio. I mean, the guy that most of these defenses try and mimic. That's their defensive coordinator now. So I love this for them. And also, a little note on Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb has familiarity with Vic Fangio.
That's right.
So, I mean,
former head coach.
Just love what they got going on Miami, man.
When you keep saying this year's Max Crosby, the way I'm reading that as the guy with a ton of pressures that did not convert those into sacks. Like, it was the obvious candidate for that last year was Max Crosby.
Right.
And that's how you end up as the number 1 overall IDP.
Correct.
Is you hit on some of those sacks. So that's what you're talking about when you say this year's Max Crosby.
Max Crosby in 2021, he led the NFL with 108 pressures, but he only finished with 8 sacks. And he was underwhelming for fantasy. We talk about that all the time. This guy I think he did all of his damage in like 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
And so he was just frustrating for fantasy. But then what happened last year? He converted those pressures to sacks.
Yep.
12
he landed.
12 and a half sacks.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's how that stuff goes. That's why we care about pressures, because pressures tells us how much they're impacting the play, how much they're affecting the play. And typically it leads to sack production.
Yep. Don't chase sacks, chase pressures, because that's more stable year to year, Bobo.
Keep in mind, too, that junior year at Miami, shortened season due to COVID, Jaelan Phillips had 45 tackles, 15.5 tackles for loss, and 8 sacks. So, this is not an Odafe Owe that didn't have a ton of production in college, and now we're just kind of looking at his athleticism. Not only does he have the athleticism, but he also has, a year of NFL production under his belt. Great opportunity. The snaps will probably increase some, and I agree with Adam. I think he'll get home for sacks a little bit more in 2023. The ascension for Jaelan Phillips to a top 3 edge in Dynasty. I mean, we could be sitting here this time next year talking about Jaelan Phillips as the edge 2 in Dynasty. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. No. I do think it's kind of out of the realm of possibility for like a Kayvon. Maybe an Aidan could get there, but I feel like a Phillips could definitely get
Jalen's
to that
just a
top
year
30.
ahead. I think that's what helps him in this conversation is that he's had another year to develop. His situation is, I would say,
primo.
I mean,
that's another team. I mean, there are some good defenses. Back to the point, like play IDP. Like you are missing out on the best players in the NFL if you don't. Also, I looked at PFF's like top 50 players today, just littered with defense.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like mostly defense and offensive linemen.
Yeah, a lot of good defenders in the league right now.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, Macri, listening to that one of the most recent pods. I don't know if it was the breakout or the bounce back, but one of those they had some Jaelan Phillips talk on, and he has him as his overall number 7 IDP for this coming season. He has him as edge 7 behind just Parsons, Crosby, Bosa, Garrett, TJ Watt, and Haason Reddick. So he is loving him some Jaelan Phillips for 2023.
I didn't know where you were going, DJ.
He said
DJ Wanham.
Yeah, DJ Wanham.
Big opportunity this year.
That's right. But he said as long as Jaelan Phillips is healthy, he is a lock for 10 sacks.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
agree.
on board. Hop on board, folks. Come on the Jaelan Phillips train. It's a lot of fun.
And
I'm
IDP.
excited, man.
Like Sig said on the pod, have you looked at Jaelan Phillips recently? Have you taken a look at the guy?
he's just the perfect player too, because he looks the part. We know about the athleticism. He had a 9.67 RAS. 9.87. The 6s and 8s are hard. I need to bump up
the font size.
Or get glasses.
You do have like a 7-point font size.
Yeah, true.
A lot of info in the ranks, though.
But Phillips, I mean, just a freak athlete, but also the motor to go with it.
Yeah.
That guy is
And
a
the
dog.
trip, my
and,
God.
and you just, I mean, you watch him play, and like that dude hustles, gives a damn. That's what you want on your team.
Love it. Next up here on the list from the Carolina Panthers, it is Brian Burns, 25.3 years old. He will be a UFA in 2024. 2022 stats, 951 snaps, 16 games played, 16 started, 15.4 points per game. In 2022, 63 total tackles, 17 TFLs, 12.5 sacks, 83 sack yards, 1 forced fumble, 3 pass breakups, 22 QB hits. Bobo, why does Brian Burns not get the love that he deserves in these conversations?
That's a great question. Why do we continue to forget about a guy like Brian Burns? Literally, I just talked about thinking about going Brian Burns in the first round of this best ball and ended up taking him in the mid-second.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And a guy like Brian Burns, I mean, maybe it's just because we're littered with such edge talent right now in the NFL. We've got Aidan Hutchinson, we've got Jaelan Phillips, we've got Kayvon, we've got Will Anderson, to where a guy who's only 25 years old is just kind of being forgotten on not the San Francisco 49ers. Aaron, that's strike one for sure. He is playing for the Carolina Panthers that I'm kind of buying into a little bit of the Bryce Young hype. I don't know whether that's stupid or not.
It's going to be a fun team.
So maybe that team is a little bit better. Maybe they're going to learn to, figure the offense out, give Brian Burns a little bit of a lead to play with. 87% snap share for Brian Burns is pretty freaking awesome. That's approaching that Max Crosby type category there. Is that even right? We sure about that? That's
What's
a
that?
lot. 87% snap share.
I'll double check.
Okay. But anyways, I just really like Brian Burns. I feel like he's just you're exactly right. Adam talked about Brian Burns being a guy like a Jaelan Phillips, and this was a couple years ago. This was probably 2020, 2021.
After his rookie year, I think he had like 7 sacks or something.
Started hyping Burns a little bit, and he's only gotten better, I feel like, since he's been in the NFL.
Oh, he definitely has. Last year we saw him reach an elite level. 15 points per game, right?
Yeah,
And the
15.4.
The Panthers showed how much they liked him when there was a little bit of trade discussions with DJ Moore and some, Christian McCaffrey. But they were like, you know what?
You know who didn't forget about Brian Burns? The Los Angeles Rams offered 2 first-round picks for this guy.
Yep.
So around the
take that with a grain of salt, though. They just kind of throw those around.
that was probably, I think it was literally a 2025 and a 2026 first rounder.
sense.
They're
They
going
were
to be
going
asked at that point potentially.
They have their 24. I looked the other
They don't
day.
care. They're just like,
Thank
give me
God.
Brian Burns.
Where's
we need
Caleb? How do we
someone
spell Caleb?
next to, they need to get Caleb Williams.
Goodness gracious.
But Brian Burns was 82.27% of snaps. So
The thing with Brian Burns that's been interesting is he's not really one of these pressure guys. The pressure numbers aren't there like for some of these other elite guys that we're discussing. Now, could that be because like what's around him is just terrible and he's in Carolina?
Yep.
That's kind of what I'm going with. I think that Brian Burns is elite and he's going to continue to get better. But yeah, he does need some help. It's just basically Derek Brown there, and that's really it.
Yeah. Who was the bust there? Because you had
Gross Matos.
Yeah, old Yeats.
Gross Matos busted out for us.
Yep. And they had Haason Reddick for
Gross
1 year.
Yep.
Came back to his old college coach.
Yeah.
Dude, he was awesome last year.
Yeah. So
I
was
can't get past that.
That was Matt Rule. So that was 2 years ago with Brian Burns and Haason Reddick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, though, he's just slept on. I don't think he's an exciting name. I think he gets weirdly overlooked in that group of his peers of like the Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa's.
He's just in a smaller market.
He
People
is.
just don't.
And he doesn't get the love of like these second-year guys like the Aidans and the Kayvons and even the rookies,
Yeah.
And that's a bad team.
Yeah, he just falls into this kind of weird middle ground where he just gets overlooked despite the fact he's a top 5 edge rusher.
And aside
So-
from Reddick, he's really been doing it by himself.
I
no
actually
talent there.
Yeah.
love Brian Burns at the end of the first. That's where I'm typically targeting him once those top 5 guys have gone off, he's probably my first pick.
Normie pods know who he is also. He's a name that gets brought up around the NFL.
Nate Tice is a big Brian Burns fan.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask for too long to get them to tell you stories about watching Brian Burns. But let's move to number 4 here. It was my number 1 pick in IDP Madness, Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns, 27.6 years old. His 2022 stats, 79% snap share, 16 games played, 15 started, 17.7 points per game, 60 total tackles, 18 TFLs, 16 sacks, 91 sack yards, 2 forced fumbles, 4 pass breakups, 26 QB hits, 92.5. If you play all 22, Myles Garrett was your IDP MVP, and he was darn close for IDP as well. I mean, from everything I've heard, this new Jim Schwartz defense is going to be extremely profitable for Myles Garrett. So I'm excited. I think he is on the short list for me, not just of prized dynasty assets, but edge rushers that could finish as the IDP 1 for 2023.
Yeah, such a stud. I mean, 17.7 last year.
That's nuts, bro.
16.9 in 2021, 15.6 in 2020.
So he just keeps getting better.
Just keeps getting better. He's 3-year sack average of 14.7.
It's number 1, right?
That's number 1.
Wow.
And then 3-year tackle average of 53. So, I mean, a nice little floor. And then he's got some help, finally. You know, they brought in Zadarius Smith. They brought in Ogbonnia
Okoronkwo.
There you go.
Yeah, Bobby has to say that one.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
You're driving the train. You don't need to say hard names.
That's right. You're my designated name guy.
Names have been your Achilles heel tonight.
Oh, especially when you get to drinking and mixing the types, the high noons and the beers.
Oh, man.
Myles Garrett is awesome, though. I mean, just an absolute beast. Also, I love the fact that he's like really good at basketball. Like, you ever watch this dude. Like dunk on fools?
Yeah, just insanely shredded. It's amazing how
you just
good
love like
multi-sport
right.
athletes. I've been watching Anthony Richardson play hoops as well.
He's good too.
Oh my God, he's so good.
Jalen Ramsey was a baller. He's really good.
I
He
would
can
not
dunk.
see that.
Oh, I can see that.
I'm kind of more surprised you're not super into. Maybe you are the NFL players that are really good at golf. What's that pool look like?
I would be into that. I don't know that there's
pretty
that's
narrow.
tough.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're so big and strong, and it's like that's just tough. It takes a long. Like, I mean, the good like former players like Tony Romo, like quarterbacks,
mainly quarterbacks. I mean, you had Mahomes playing in this
maybe
tournament.
like little
Slide
slot
out.
receivers or
Yeah.
something.
Welker's probably got a good short
I'm sure.
game.
Cole
yes.
Beasley's cracking beers with
Guarantee
his
it.
boys.
You know, I mean, these guys are like 6'4", 6'5", 270 pounds.
The golf club looks like a toothpick.
Yeah.
It looks like a
It's
toothbrush
tough.
in
It's
their
tough.
hands.
It's tough.
Watching Kelsey swing it was kind of painful. You could tell he had an okay swing, but he just didn't have a lot of touch.
That's right. I mean,
The
yeah,
match.
Mahomes is really good.
Yep.
Now Kelsey can bomb drives. I saw he was like hitting like 300-yard drives,
Yeah.
like on the reg. So
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
and he
those-
sprained it, of course. But I mean,
Tons of power.
yeah, those guys, if they can figure it out, yeah, they'll be very long.
That's not as much overlap as like NBA and golf. You know, NBA players, I feel like, you know, MJ is pretty epic golfer.
I feel like most NBA players are pretty good at golf. Most people play basketball like because it's a lot about touch and feel.
Steph
And they're not
Curry.
as beefed up. I mean, NBA players are a little more slender than like these big, huge edge rusher guys are. Because NBA players are taller than most NFL players, but I don't think they're as bulky. And I feel like that's what makes it tough with golf if you're just like built like a fridge.
We're about to see it though with golf because I mean like we're seeing like the Bryson DeChambeau types and like we're gonna see at some point like a LeBron James type golfer. And I'm here for it.
Maddie
Hopefully,
can't
it's my son. Hopefully,
That'd be great.
Silas or
Can you
Shepard.
imagine
Silas
Adam on the
is
sideline?
6'7",
Yeah.
275.
Adam's in his Buc-ee's shorts and shirt.
right.
That's the
That's
sponsorship
right.
they go for.
Sir, Bucky's all over the bag.
That's right. Well, we got 3 guys left here. We are cresting the hill. Probably going to be about a 2.5-hour pod, but that's what y'all folks wanted. Don't act like you didn't. Been waiting for it. Max Triple X Crosby comes in at number 3, 25.9 years old, 4-year, $94 million deal, UFA in 2027. He played 1,085 snaps. That's a 99% snap share. 17 games played, 17.7 points per game, 89 total tackles, 22 TFLs, 12.5 sacks, 102 sack yards, 3 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 1 field goal block just for the hell of it, 4 pass breakups, and 35 QB hits. I mean, Max Crosby was the IDP 101 by Big Three scoring last year. It's not hard to see why, Bobo. This dude delivered across every single statistical category.
Max Crosby, Myles Garrett. Nah, not the Myles Garrett. Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Probably the 4 guys in fantasy right now that if somebody calls in a trade, I'm just like, I don't care what you're sending me for Max Crosby. I'm not even entertaining an offer. You got a guy who he's borderline cheat code. He played 99% snaps.
Yeah.
We're just looking for these defensive linemen to get to like 70%
75,
snaps.
yeah.
And we're talking about a guy that almost had 100 tackles and 12.5 sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, it's unreal. 17.7 points per game. The thing that blows my mind kind of about Max Crosby is that he's only 25 years old.
Yeah, he's a lot younger than I thought.
When I look at him, I expect him to be like 28, 29. No.
Is that why you have him at 3 and Myles Garrett at 4 is just the age there?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's about a year and a half.
And I mean, Max Crosby just had a year that Myles Garrett never has.
Yeah.
I mean, 19.9 points per game. I mean, the max for Myles Garrett was 17.7. But yeah, I mean, just that floor with that sack upside is just
one of the safest
non-existent.
picks.
I mean, it's like, you know, Khalil Mack his rookie years type deal. I mean,
he didn't get, a sack that game. Well, he had 8 tackles.
yeah.
So what was? Sorry, I was. That was aggressive. I was trying to figure out what.
Adam really agreed with that.
Yeah,
point.
I'm trying to figure out what Max Crosby's. What was his points per game?
17
19
points.
Okay, I had it in here wrong.
19.9.
19.9.
19.9. That was up from 13.6 in 21.
Wow.
10.2 in 2020. PFF grades were fantastic the last 2 years. 90.1 in 2022. 91.4 in 2021. But yeah, I mean, he's the poster boy for why we care about pressures.
Are y'all on board with me about not trading him? Like, somebody calls in obviously
Unless you're
somebody
trading
gives
me,
you
like-
like 5 first or something
No,
stupid.
I mean, if everyone's got their price. If someone
Yeah.
comes at me with 2 first,
2 first, I'd probably move Max.
2 first, just because I understand. I do get what you're saying. Like, Max Crosby is one of those guys that
He's a unicorn.
He broke
he's
the
a
mold.
unicorn, but he's also cool, and he's like a fun, like a fun guy to
love
have.
having
You just
that
love
guy on
that
your
guy.
team.
There's a little bit of that in every trade for me. If I get to watch a guy play on Sunday and know that they're like putting points up for my team, and I love their vibe or I like who they are as a person, like I don't know,
you want that guy.
that
on your
plays
squad.
for me. But I don't know, Max Crosby, man, he's fun. 99% snap share is just insane.
He's fun, but if someone's out there offering you like multiple first, or like even like I think I have him valued at
You're
a
taking
first plus a
2
third.
2024 first for him, not knowing where they are.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yes, I think I would.
Yeah, just because I mean those 2 first are gonna be more valuable for the majority of people. Like, right? I mean, most people like
You
Max
listen-
Crosby,
You listen to me.
but no one values Max Crosby like
Do you want
that.
Do you want Max Crosby or do you want Jordan Addison and
I just want Jordan Addison's dog to be okay,
Yeah, it's
and I want him to stop
bad
driving
time to drop his
140
name.
miles an hour.
Quentin Johnston
Okay,
and I don't know. I can't. I'm
like a
drawing a
Dalton
blank.
Kincaid or something. Or,
Sure.
Yeah, I'll probably roll the dice on those guys.
Really?
I think so.
Hmm.
I prefer just the pick.
I
I
know
prefer
it's
the picks.
kinda
I
hard.
prefer them not being players yet. I prefer
Yeah.
I want the picks.
The
So
mystery
that
box.
then you can move the picks.
Exactly.
Okay.
because you could
You're
go.
using them as bait for going
Right.
to get a
They're much-
Jaelan
We're
Phillips.
they're assets that I'm using to go buy certain players that I really, really want.
I like
you know?
that. I like that.
But
I
it's
like
like
that a
you
lot.
are getting near the top of the mountain where it's like, who else would you rather
Yeah.
have? What do you? You're
Well-
flipping the cards to try to move up. in value here, and it's like you're approaching the ceiling here.
The moves to make are you go and you sell Max Crosby and you try and buy a Tyree Wilson or a Jaelan Phillips or one of those guys that is going to see their value increase, right? Max Crosby is there.
But
there's no, like, he cannot go higher, I don't think.
But this almost brings this full circle to where it's like
20
Danielle
points per
Hunter
game.
or a second.
20 points per game.
Danielle Hunter or a second to where it's just like, I would rather just have Danielle. It's kind of like with Max Crosby to where it's like,
I can understand
it's
if
just
you'd
a second.
rather just have Max Crosby.
But it's just a second.
that's what I'm saying is like, I'd rather just have Max Crosby.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
I get it. But if it's a lot of picks coming in, someone throwing them, 2 firsts at me, even a first and a second, that's that you're thinking about that.
You're not
Hard. I am.
No, you're not. You're lying to the listeners.
I never lied.
He's
I've never
absolutely-
lied.
Absolutely lied on this podcast before. Well, let's wrap up here. 2 guys left on the list, and number 2 is Nick Bosa, 25.8 years old. He played 746 snaps, so it's kind of crazy what he did on.
Is he one of your untouchables right here? Same thing.
No, I would trade Bosa.
Wow.
300 fewer snaps than Max Crosby. It's crazy.
I would trade Bosa.
20.6 points per game, 16 games played, 16 games started, 90.6 overall defensive grade, 90.6 pass rush grade, 80.1 run defense, 70.3 tackles, 70.9 coverage. I mean, this guy had blue and green across the board. I believe he is the reigning defensive player of the year, correct?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And he just got somebody by the name of Javon Hargrave to join him.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got Eric Armstead is still there. Who was the first round defensive tackle they took to replace DeForest Buckner? I was trying to think of that this morning.
Oh man.
It's Javon, right?
Yeah, Javon.
But it's not Holland. It's not Hargrave,
Oh my gosh.
right? Dude, it was stumping me this morning. I was driving back from dropping packs off at daycare. Like, what is?
Kinlaw.
Thank you, Javon Kinlaw. I think he's still there, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So
they even brought in Clellan
you've
Ferrell.
got
I'm
Drake
pretty sure.
Jackson still
They did.
there.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Bosa probably should be an untouchable. I'd have to think about that. He definitely deserves to be in this this category here with Max. To me, it's his top 3. Did y'all agree?
yeah. I think I have a top.
You would rather have Garrett in there.
No, I think I'd have a top 4.
Yeah.
I see those 4 guys about the same. Myles, you could, if I was going to shove one out, I'd shove Myles out just because he's 27.6 years
Yeah,
old.
that's the only thing.
Whereas these guys are younger. They're 24, 25.
It's
here in the top
interesting
3.
too. Myles do a contract. Max Crosby
Just got paid.
just got
last
paid.
offseason, I'm pretty sure.
Bosa do a contract. Micah Parsons is fine for right now. There's somebody else on here too. Oh, Brian Burns do a contract.
Yep.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what those figures are moving forward. But, yeah, Nick Bosa definitely should be an untouchable. I'm probably, these are my dynasty ranks, I'm probably going to have Crosby over Bosa just because of the snap share. It's just the floor is just so awesome. But, man, Bosa's ceiling is pretty insane as well.
So let's just go ahead and lump this in with the conversation of number 1, Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboys, 24.2 years old. His 2022 stats, 919 snaps, 17 games played, just 16.8 points per game, which is great. But when you're coming off of 19.9 and 20.6, it is a little bit of a letdown. 65 total tackles, 14 TFLs, 13.5 sacks. He had 27 QB hits. He had a defensive touchdown in there, 91.8 overall defensive grade, 92 pass rush grade. Is that the best pass rush grade across the entire NFL? I mean,
It's up there.
Bosa was
second
90.6.
best. Myles Garrett was first, I believe.
Myles Garrett was, yes, 93.5. So I'm guessing the reason you have Micah Parsons at 1 and Nick Bosa at 2 is just because of the age.
Yeah. I love them both. I don't care.
I think it's truly splitting hairs.
It really is. I know we say that often, but I mean, yes, both of them. I'm not going to argue with you either way. Like, I would never be like, "Oh, these would be Bosa #1 or either." I mean, it's just, who
God, I hope you
cares?
never do that voice.
Who cares?
Well, I think you could. The person making the argument for Bosa 1 would say he is purely a dedicated edge guy. Well, guess what? Now we get Micah Parsons saying he has fully transitioned to edge We switched him over in RSO based on his alignment data from 2022. So I think the linebacker days are gone.
He still had 65 tackles last year, which is pretty awesome
Yep.
for a full-time edge.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see. I think when you look at the alignment data, it's going to the 3-year line for him is going to go way down in terms of like off-ball linebacker alignment. I don't think that's going to be a thing for him at all in 2023.
Parsons is just a freak, man. You look at those stats. I mean, he gives you just the upside. Or, he's got the nice tackle floor. He gives you almost the Aaron Donald tackle for loss upside of 14 tackles for loss last season, 13.5 sacks. He puts the big plays in. We've got, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, pass breakups. It's just unreal. I mean, I don't know what more you could expect from a guy like Micah Parsons. And honestly, if we're talking about Will Anderson being the next, oh my gosh, this might be Micah Parsons, like, dude's got a lot to live up to. I mean,
Micah Parsons could be,
unreal.
oh my God, this is the next Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, exactly.
Yep.
So I think he is this sort of generational edge rusher that we have not seen since the likes of Lawrence Taylor. And Lord knows we have seen some incredible edge rushers come in, but I think we're looking at a historic start. I mean, some of these guys take a little bit of time to develop. We've talked about that on tonight's podcast a lot. Be patient. Be patient. These guys take time.
The special ones usually don't.
And Micah Parsons came in, though, and playing a lot of off-ball linebacker his first season. I mean, right out the gate was one of the best defensive players in the NFL.
Yeah, you could tell on screen it was different. The way he played was like, all right, something's up with this guy.
But don't hear what we're not saying. Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, we want them both.
Great.
This is a very clear and obvious top two. Like Bobby said, get Max Crosby in here for a top 3.
It's a 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D type deal.
1T. One Direction, baby. Yes, sir. Let's go sing some songs.
Hey, I do actually have some decent stats for both these guys.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right, so Nick Bosa, 90 pressures in the NFL last season. That was tied for first with Micah Parsons.
There we go.
17.7% pressure rate for Nick Bosa. That was 5th best among all edge rushers. 19.9 pass rush win rate. That was 5th best. 90.6 pass rush grade. That was 4th best. Nick Bosa had 12 games with at least 15 points, 8 games with at least 20 points, and he had 4 games over 30.
Wow.
That was tops in the league, all categories, except the one over 30. That was tied with Max Crosby. Micah Parsons, he was, like I mentioned, tied for first with 90 pressures, 18.4% pressure rate. That was 4th best among edge rushers. 19.3 pass rush win rate. That was 6th best. 92.0 pass rush grade was 2nd best among edge rushers with 100 pass rush snaps. So both these guys, as elite as it gets.
Head of the class.
Head of the class. I mean, still young. Like, we could still see these guys level up a little bit. So
that's kind of scary to think about. That we could
Pretty
be
wild.
looking at 2 players who completely rewrite the ceiling. 3 players who rewrite the ceiling for what IDPs can score. 20-point per game average for these 3 guys is in the realm of possibilities.
yeah, I feel pretty confident. I know it's not as gritty and whatever as some people like to get hung up on as the old days, but I feel pretty confident that defense has never been better in the NFL, and we've never seen athletes like we're seeing now on the defensive side of the ball, and that just continues to get more and more apparent every single year. These freaks these RS scores just keep getting higher every single year. So fun time for defense.
Is.
Why are you not playing IDP again?
Jump in, people. Get in some of these best balls.
You're
if
missing
you want to
out.
give it a try, you're going to have a lot of fun. I mean, as you said, Bobo, your offensive-only buds are coming in and being like, this IDP thing is kind of awesome.
Bad time to be a quarterback. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and the COVID year, listening to some of the offensive podcasts for fantasy, the COVID year was sort of the year when the defensive pendulum swung back towards the pendulum of offense versus defense swung toward defense. Fantasy scoring for offense was down across the board. I think it is still down compared to previous years. So that just happens. Offenses surge ahead. Defenses catch up. Offenses regroup to address what defenses are doing.
Yeah.
Defenses catch up. But to Adam's point, we're in this kind of pendulum swing. And I think what's pulling that pendulum back towards defense with greater force is the best athletes on the field might be on the defensive side of the ball now.
You know, look at Travon Walker. If we didn't have the metrics and we didn't have the RAS and we didn't have the combine and we didn't have the ways to tell that these guys are freak athletes, then a guy like Travon Walker might not really have that big of an opportunity in the NFL. I agree. I think that with science and with metrics and with, you know, looking at college production, college PFF numbers, I agree. It's just getting a more refined type of product by the time they actually get prepared for the NFL. We know what we're getting. We know what we're drafting.
Well, it's an arms race. Quarterbacks are getting better, right? I mean, we've got 3 to 4, maybe even 5 quarterbacks that could go first round next year. So what do you do if you're a talent development kind of in this world for developing young NFL talent to address that arms race at quarterback? You develop edge rushers.
Yeah.
Right? You develop guys that can get after the quarterback with speed and power and size. So I'm excited because more than any other position, edge rusher is flush. I don't think there is, in the years we've been doing this, not just the podcast, but playing IDP, I don't remember a time when edge rusher has felt this deep.
And defensive tackle.
Yes, exactly.
Defensive tackle is nasty as well.
You know, there for a while it was AD and Jarrell Casey and Grady Jarrett.
Yeah.
You know, now we're just
Forrest
talking about
Buckner. We were hyping up Kenny Clark and
Oh,
those
gosh,
types, you know, and
trying to make somebody
Exactly.
into the next one.
and now we got 12
got-
ballers at
Yeah.
least.
Philly's
Stone
got
cold
a couple
locks.
ballers. I almost said it. The Commanders have a couple ballers. Yeah,
Did you almost say the foreskins?
I almost said something. Hey, so I was thinking about this the other day. My boy's been asking about football and kind of thinking about wanting to play, even though he signed up for fall baseball. But I was thinking, I was like, you know, I don't know what position I would want my son to play in football.
Punter.
No, not punter.
No pressure.
I mean, it'd be
You just
like
boom punts.
It'd be like secondary or like a slot,
Yeah.
like a slot receiver.
They
that
have
would
my-
be like
From a health perspective and, you know, getting hurt. And,
It's so funny tonight. We had my 13 or 14-year-old nephew in today. He'll be 14 in October. He's getting ready to enter 8th grade, which is when I played football. I was a running back.
cool. Of course you
And
are.
safety, I think. But this dude is
defensive tackle.
yeah, defensive tackle.
put you
but
there?
Riley he's about a little taller than me. He's probably like, I don't know, maybe 120 pounds. Like he's a stick figure. He's like broomstick legs.
Sure.
And they've got him playing defensive end.
Let's go.
I'm like, bro, you are going to get blown off the ball.
Hey, that bend,
by
though.
these offensive tackles.
That
From some of
bend.
these, they have 30 players on their team, on their 8th grade team.
All about that speed,
I was like-
Josh.
I told him, I was like, you're going to have to win with speed because
Let's
you
see
have
you-
no power.
Let's see your 3 cone.
Yeah. So that's a great way to wrap up there. We appreciate you all tuning in. It is so good to be back. We are going to be full steam ahead the rest of the way through the off season. We have our boy Jeff Pomazal doing the IDP Minute over on Twitter. He is going to be keeping y'all up to date with all the IDP happenings that you want to pay attention. Oh, sorry, on X.com that you want to be paying attention to from training camp, from the preseason. Make sure you're following us over there. Draft kit updates. We've got the next round going live on August 1st. It's the #1 IDP draft resource. The ADP is in there. Adam's Dynasty and Best Ball rankings.
No one's touching us. I
Yeah.
gotta say it. No one's touching us. No one's done the work this offseason. No one's touching us. If you want the best resource, that's with us.
The YouTubes, the podcast, the after show, Leezy's injury pod, in-season waivers. the
I'm
IDP
sorry if
kit.
that makes anyone mad. It's
We'll
just the
be
facts,
here.
dog. It's just the facts.
Johnny the Greek, we have him in the feed, the after show feed, talking cornerbacks. So if you want cornerback streamers, come on over. The in-season content plan. I made a Twitter video a couple weeks ago talking about our in-season content plan for free and paid subs, y'all. Truly is the year 4 leap that we are going to be taking. And boys, I think we actually passed without any fanfare our 4-year anniversary.
Dang.
A few days ago. So
Too busy grinding.
too busy
dog.
grinding to notice. We're in the middle of madness. Have you heard? So, and make sure you're over there on the IDPshow.com because we're going to be on the march to 100 best ball drafts. We just hit 62 overall with those madness drafts. We're getting ready to launch about 5, 6, 7 more drafts.
That's right. So we got a lot of newbies in this tournament, so they got their beaks wet. They're gonna be addicted. So don't worry, we got more coming.
So when
Lots more
IDP
coming.
hits the mainstream, you're welcome.
That's right. Come play some IDP best ball. And make sure you're subscribed, folks. We're going to be back in the feed John's back next week. We're going to be doing a training camp update and roster construction episode next time you hear from us. This is an episode Addy wanted to put together talking about how you construct your rosters. So look forward to that one. It's going to be a lot of fun as well. But until next time, y'all take care, and we'll see you soon.
It's the IDP show. Now